digits if you getting money and you know it, motherfucker, spend it, don't stop. Get it, that's what I think when I get the digits. If you getting money and you know it, motherfucker, spend it. Bitch, I I'm just trying to make a living, need a microphone, the kitchen, straight hustle, no intermission. I'm the voice for money, just saying ain't talking, movies be clipping. He start talking, he gon' miss it. Kill him if we hear him snitching, slit his toe. If he whispering money, put the demon in me, head on it. I won't bend it, never used to being friendly. Sorry if I offended. I'm just used to doing me. When I come around and feel a cool breeze, puffin', I ain't no free. AC got me like make the lead. That's the paying on the scene. Chain like a hockey ring. Big boy straps like my clips is on free of street. I'ma do this till I die. After the same thing. Money like a bird where I'm from. Not a damn thing. Don't stop. Get it. That's what I think when I get the digits. If you getting money and you know it, motherfucker, spend it. Don't stop. Get it. That's what I think when I get the digits. If you getting money and you know it, motherfucker, spend it. Bitch,
Yo, what up, man?
What it do? What it do? Got a lot of niggas, ain't a lot of drums. They all go dumb when the nigga dumb. Every time I pop in, I bet to get some. Drum flying, put a hole in their nigga stomach. When we gun in my nigga, it sound like homecoming. When we gun in my nigga, it sound like homecoming. When we gun in my nigga, it sound like homecoming. Click, clap, bow, bow, everybody running. Sound off. What's going on? Yeah, I got two straps, pearl and cone. When I bust on man, they sound just like a thunderstorm. Yeah, when I bust on man, they sound just like a thunderstorm. Hold on, gotta count my money cause I think it's wrong. Sorry for taking so long, but big my money's long. Straps making up the band, I ain't puffy cones. Time to get back to the topic of the microphone. Big shit, big clips, nigga, I'ma let her rip. Cock the drum line and celebrate up on that pussy, bitch. Got a lot of niggas and a lot of drums, and they all go dumb when the nigga dumb. Every time I'm popping, I think we shaking some. Drum line put a hole in here, nigga stomach. When we gun in my nigga, it sound like homecoming. When we gun in my nigga, it sound like homecoming. When we gun in my nigga, it sound like homecoming. Click, clap, bow, bow, everybody running. They call me Mr. Shaking something when I'm on something. 12 gauge, call it TSU. I'ma give him my ass whooping, no question. Got him on his knees, but he gets no blessings. Girl, you know I'm the shit, so why you still guessing? Automatic, like we in Afghanistan. Understand that my niggas sound like a marching band. Got a lot of niggas and a lot of drums, and they all go dumb when the niggas dumb. Every time I pop it out, they think we checking some. Drum line put a hole in their nigga stomach. When we gun in my nigga, it sound like homecoming. When we gun in my nigga, it sound like homecoming. When we gun in my nigga, it sound like homecoming. Click, clack, bow, bow, everybody running.
It's a friend of mine's from, alright, so the title of this video has to do with this right here. Viewer discretion is advised. Let's get into the video. It's a short.
This animal story that I'm about to tell you is not your typical happy-go-lucky animal story that you might find on social media. Feel good, happy-go-lucky.
I love wholesome cat and dog content on social media. They showing off them in the little raincoats and stuff like that. That's why I finally had gotten Brownie a raincoat, you know, because I wondered, that was a great idea, and it fits him perfectly from Z-Dog. So yeah, I got it from Z-Dog, didn't you, buddy?
Stuff. Well, the story I'm going to tell you might have felt
Brownie,
good
cover your ears.
for the dog. In April, police arrested a 19-year-old after they got a tip of some really weird stuff someone saw on TikTok.
Really weird stuff. 19. I tell you, I think the weirdest thing I did at 19 was the hot dog from a gas station. Like, that's something you just don't do. I mean, if you're smart.
Jones County Sheriff's Department investigated the post, a search warrant, and arrested 19-year-old Denise Frazier for unnatural intercourse and aggravated cruelty to an animal.
Damn.
Oh, she had a dog.
Nasty.
Cops said that it was so disturbing they couldn't even discuss it to the media. But it
We can't even discuss this with you because the transcript is explicit in itself.
doesn't end there. Denise has recently started a Twitter where she adamantly defends her action.
Nothing says learning your lesson and or proving to the court in any way whenever you finally get to your sentence and like immediately bailing out and defending your actions. They're just fucking crazy. I would have thought that after something like this, the last thing a person would do would be to take to online social media and make, you know, a following or anything.
She says all girls do this with their dogs.
No, they do not.
Quote, your moms, sisters, aunts.
If they do,
no,
we got a fucking problem.
they don't, you fucking psychopath. At least some of the tweets responding to her are funny. Dogs, men, what's her children be like?
They didn't. They used the fucking Family Guy fucking
Picture and says something like that, I imagine. Well, everyone, every day we stray farther from God's light. Giant asteroid, we need you now. Have a fantastic day. This animal story that
is from Donut Operator. You can check out Donut Operator at Donut Operator. Make sure to like and subscribe
about to tell you
to this channel for more interesting content. Hold on just a second. Sorry about that, but he does content about police chases, etc., other type of interesting content. Oh, this is about Waco. Or at least it has Waco on the picture.
Hi everyone, Donut here. Have you ever heard the saying, don't bring a flamethrower to a gunfight? Neither did that guy or the guy I'm about to show you in this video. Police responded to a 51-year-old man with court orders to seize his gun. Police stated that some of his guns were legally owned, but did not say what prompted the court order. But the guy locked himself inside the house, became a barricaded suspect, maybe out of fear of being Waco'd, or he could have just been a little off. Police tried to negotiate with him for 21 hours. At one point, he burst out of the house with a freaking flamethrower. He shot.
What the fuck?
Caught it at the SWAT team, and somehow Mr. Operator over here did not spook him. Police retreated. He went back into his house. They negotiated by shooting tear gas into his home, and he finally surrendered. Speaking of,
You gotta be fucking insane.
have you guys ever been super dehydrated from shooting flamethrower at police and wish you could take
Why the fuck would they fucking? That didn't make any sense.
a fat piss, but you can't because there's no more water in your body? Well, good thing there's Protect hydration packets. Hydration packets normally suck because they're powdered, but these are tasty and liquid. Use the code Donut15 for 15% off. Hi everyone, Donut here. Have you
Shameless
ever
plug. So he did this little breakdown.
heard the saying, don't bring a flamethrower to a gunfight?
My boy, my boy put the sponsor in the short sufficiency.
Neither did that guy or the guy I'm about to show you in this
Didn't
video.
hear anything that would make me not sympathize with this guy. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of weird.
Police responded to a 51-year-old man with court orders to seize his gun. Police stated that his guns were legally owned, but did not say what
Some of them?
prompted the court order. But the guy
Okay, yeah. Of course, it's New Jersey. Oh, well, that explains a lot. Yep. Liberal states got a liberal. Oh shit, Books is awake.
Everything gonna be cool, y'all. Don't worry about what people say. Oh,
Yeah.
you scared to check your mail.
100.
You this, that, and the third. Don't worry about them people. I realized something. When people screenshot you and that shit, all you gotta do is just turn your screen on, bro, and then just make them look stupid because they don't know what to talk about. They look stupid. Who on the panel? What panel?
Mine. All right, now, Diane, what the fuck kind of shit are there white cemeteries near Shady Lane?
I was asleep. Were you that guy that said I had COPD? I don't have COPD, dude. I just fucking snore sometimes. Like, I don't know. I think I smoked too many cigarettes or whatever.
I didn't say.
I don't need a CPAP.
I didn't say you had COPD. I don't know who came up with that. I just came by and said, "Oh, is that sleeping?"
I listened to that shit. I was like, "What the fuck?"
All I said was that sleeping? I didn't say, is he fucking passed out drunk? Is he, I don't say anything like workies would say.
Did that come to your panel? I don't know, dude. I think they're screen sniping. Y'all want to?
Dude, they're screen sniping you too. Hell, they're going to be screen sniping both of us.
You said you didn't say I had that? Oh. Somebody said I had COPD.
Well, why don't you check the comments next
shut
time?
the fuck up. I'm just like snoring.
Ain't nobody said you had COPD over here.
It did sound like I can't breathe through my nose. Like
you were snoring, bro. That's all it was. Now, workers, they might have said something like that. They'd be the type to say it sounds like a death rattle. Back when I used to sleep, I finally got out that bad habit of fucking going live right when you about tired at night. It's a bad habit. Sometimes you feel like you got that second wind. Sometimes you don't.
They screen snipers both, dude, but whatever. What are you trying to talk about, Square?
Nothing. Just whatever. Anything.
They gotta go recycle. Let me go to the trash can. This is I can recycle this.
I don't want you to go to the trash can. What? trees?
My name is Brian Larson. I've been an officer for just under 2 years. He has reverse lights on sort of permanently, so let's just pull him over and see what he's got going on. Who has the weed in the car?
Oh, no one, sir. I don't have any weed.
You got to be kidding me, dude. It reeks of weed here.
I don't have weed.
Okay, do you have any weed on you right now?
No, sir.
None? Okay, let me see your license, registration, and proof of insurance. 524, check a name.
I don't have any weed here, sir. I do have this.
Okay, give me that silver container with the weed leaf on it. I'm getting like a contact high standing next to your car. If you have weed in the car, just give it to me. Otherwise, you guys out and search you and find it. It's just a ticket. Your car doesn't get towed. Whoever has it, get it out. But this is silly.
No, I understand, officer. I mean, like, this is literally all I have.
Okay, how much have you smoked today?
None,
Is it
sir.
coming off you?
No. No, sir.
Follow my finger with your eyes. Don't move at all. Okay, now you're breathing really hard. So what's going on?
I'm just a little bit worried, officer, because I have tickets and I don't want to get another ticket.
Okay, step outside the car for me. Put your hands behind your back. Do you have anything on you that you're not supposed to have? Any drugs, weapons, anything?
No, sir.
Do you mind if I check?
Yes, sir. Go for it. I do not.
Okay, go ahead and spread your feet. Okay, we're going to keep pulling you guys out of the car one by one and then bring the canine over to search it. Do you have anything else to say? 524, is the canine available? Can I see your ID, please? Do you have anything on you you're not supposed to have? Okay, step outside here. Put your hands behind your back. Mind if I check you for weapons, drugs? Okay, spread your feet. We're going to face this way more. Okay, go ahead and have a seat next to your one who's driving. Can you see your ID also? Okay, step outside here. Do you have anything on you you're not supposed to have? Okay, you mind if I double check? Roger. I can understand you're nervous. If you have weed or something else in the car, there's a good chance you'll just get a ticket. It could just be infraction. But right now we have a canine coming over to search the vehicle because there's a really obvious odor of marijuana. Do you smell marijuana in the car?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so where do you think the marijuana smell's coming from?
It's just in the car.
From being smoked at another time?
No, I'm not being smoked. I mean, it's just there. I mean, there's some crumbs in the tray.
Crumbs in which tray? That tray you
The
near?
little tray thing. That little.
Now that thing was locked up in the glove box, though. I wouldn't have smelled that. I smelled it coming right off you, man. Okay.
I swear to God, I don't have any on there.
Okay, can I check your car to be sure no weed in it?
I don't need permission to do that.
Let me ask you a question. If you don't have anything in it, why are you nervous about getting it searched?
One word. Constitution. Constitution. Unalienable rights. 2 words.
Because my parents told me if I get any tickets.
Well, letting us search the car is not what gives you a ticket. Having
Oh,
weed
it
in the
does. If you find fucking marijuana and you're going to give me a citation for it, which back in those days, because considering by the quality and just the style of clothes on and everything, it looks like this is more early mid 2000s. So, at this time, I think only California maybe and some West states have legalized it, or just California at this time. So it's still illegal every fucking where else. And even if it's sort of decriminalized, it's not even decriminalized at this time because you have 36 grams or less. Some states there's be 28 grams or less, or even smaller amounts. Anything over that amount is felony. So if he's just a quarter on him, he's still at risk of getting a $300 ticket and possession of marijuana misdemeanor on his record.
car is you a ticket.
Right.
Is there weed in the car?
No, I have no weed in the car.
So why are you nervous about getting?
Face it, today doesn't mean anything, and now you can get them expunged depending on what state you live in. Most of them. Makes me think I need to go and check, see if mine's still on there. And if it's not, then I'm gonna start to research what's the fucking process on getting it removed. Like, because I thought it was supposed to be automatic, but if it's not, then I may have to write the court and fucking tell them, hey, close that file.
Getting it searched. if there's no weed in the car?
Because I just don't like having my car searched.
Okay, go ahead and have us. We're gonna have it searched anyway with the canine.
Well, I mean, that right there is really telling, because back in the famous, was like right around Nashville video, went viral. I mean, news picked up and stuff. Dude went up through a checkpoint with his window up. He didn't play sovereign citizen, but he just asserted his rights, like you're supposed to by the Constitution. They ended up checking it, having a dog go around through it, and the dude slowed down the video and showed how where the cop was. And I'll just say this. Yeah, they are trained to smell for things, but they can't smell and detect and know the difference. Like, the cop has a way of being able to communicate with the dog and being told what exactly he thinks is he's smelling. So that little trick where the cop just told him what they was going to do. That they're going to have a dog and they're going to search it anyways, because the dog doesn't show me a point or a video. You show me a video where a dog goes around a car and they don't immediately after search it. I challenge someone to find the video. I'm not talking about the Border Patrol where because they do that to every car, but they obviously aren't gonna fucking, you know. So maybe but I'm just saying they can make the dog give a false alert, basically, or like with the ball fetch, you know, the fetch command, they can implement it and cause where that dog is going to alert every time it goes around the car, no matter what. Especially if they act, because that's how they always do it. They ask you, will you allow us to search? And if you say, yeah, sure, no big deal, okay, then they're going to go ahead and do it anyways. They're not going to say, okay, well, he said, okay, I can, so I don't think I need to. They don't do that. They search it. And if you say no, well, then this is option B, and this is always option B, 9 out of 10, unless they just fucking can't get a canine unit.
Sit down.
Can I just ask you a question? Sorry.
Yeah, but you don't have permission to do so.
Gary, you can talk to him over there if you want. He might be changing his mind about something. He's probably just got weed in there, but it's really strong and he won't admit to it. They can do the search of their 3 persons, but they're saying none's car. And then he started asking if it would be a misdemeanor or infraction found it in the car.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so tell me what's going on here.
It's my weed.
Okay. So why start with this weird story about the roommate? I never get this. It's like you have weed on you and you're like, oh, these aren't my pants. You knew there was weed in the car, right?
Look
You
at
guys
the
have
dog
any-
just in this car, like, yeah, it's in here.
Medical marijuana recommendations? You don't have your doctor's letter?
He just told him, good boy.
No? Anyone? But this is comical to me because, let's be honest, marijuana is almost legal.
Oh, well, damn, this thing looks old. It was loaded, but still, I mean,
It's obvious you have in the car. I say, who's got it
it must obviously be in a state that is not wrecked.
in the car? You guys are like, there's no weed in this car.
If anything, you know what I'd be more afraid of? You don't put yourself in this position if you're if you utilize marijuana. You don't do that, because that today may not in itself lead to anything, if maybe a ticket or infraction if you got it out of the dispensary container or something. But you know what? Cops know they can't write these little tickets or whatever and stuff now. But you know what they do think about? They think about DUI related offense. That's going to be the number one go-to. So do not think just because now marijuana is legal or you got a medical card or whatever, that you can just freely drive around with it as you please. Of course, you've got to drive around with it when you leave to go back home from the dispensary, which I personally would keep only in the dispensary container and not open or break a single fucking seal until you get home. Because as soon as you break open that seal, then they can argue that you're using it while driving. So do not ever do that. Yeah, just don't. I mean, it's just not worth it.
Okay, everyone get out, sit down, be embarrassed sitting downtown on the curb. That dog could smell that weed from 6 blocks away. You have a court date of
And that dog was smelling asses and fucking pee and everything else from 6 blocks away besides that weed.
July 6th. You can try to take care of it on the phone prior to that if you
But
wish.
obviously there was weed in there, so maybe he did get a whiff of it when he got closer. So Georgia's trial for Trump's going to be televised. One thing I wonder, though, were we going to see the move from Trump like we saw from other people trying to get it moved to federal court? Because it seems like that would be in Trump's. Then again, it may be, he may be thinking it'd be in the best interest for it to be televised so that he gets a fair trial, or that they can't do some of the shit they maybe, look, obviously I fucking voted for Trump last time. I'd vote for him again this time. And that's all I'm going to speak on it.
Georgia's Fulton County Jail once again in the spotlight this morning, not for a Trump-related reason. This time, police say a detainee has been killed and 2 others injured after a mass stabbing on Thursday. This is the 5th death of a jail inmate there since the end of July. The Justice Department has launched.
That's nothing new. Fulton County was on fucking 60 days in for good Lord's sake. I mean, people just now realizing that it's the same place where I'm surrendered. Yeah, big difference from being surrendered and released to being booked in that motherfucker.
Civil rights investigation into the jail for dilapidated and unsanitary conditions, as well as violence against
Well, let's
detainees.
say that even if he would be convicted and sentenced to some time, he's not going to spend it in that jail. I don't even think he'd spend a second besides maybe in a holding cell or a little bit of time in one of them. Like, they would not put him. That's one of the questions I was thinking here recently was, say he is convicted, how's the housing gonna work out? The Secret Service, somebody said, well, he may just be on house arrest. I said, hell no, people wouldn't stand for that. If they really think that Rudy's guilty, then they're gonna expect him to do time. But the thing is, he's gonna have to do time away from anybody else because he's fucking president. How Secret Service logistics and everything will work out with that? Does he lose his Secret Service if he becomes a felon? Like, there's so many fucking questions because this shit has never happened before.
It's also, of course, the same jail where Donald Trump turned himself in last weekend. He had his first ever mugshot taken there after being indicted on criminal
Yeah, that
charges in the
mugshot's a big fuck you.
Georgia election subversion and racketeering case, to which he's now pleaded not guilty.
So joining us to talk more is Temadayo Longa-Williams, who served as a senior investigative counsel for the January 6th committee. He's currently partner at Selen Gay Ellsberg, also national political writer for the Associated Press, Michelle Price, and Amy Parnes, chief White House
Democrats, all Democrats.
Correspondent and political correspondent at The Messenger. So I want to start with you, Temadayo, because while prosecuting a president is unusual, RICO violations are not. So help us
unusual. I mean, even like we'll check that out. Nixon did Nixon get charged? So, all right, even with Nixon and his bullshit, he didn't even get charged. So this is like the first fucking time. Yeah, this has got to be the first time.
Georgia County
I don't think there may have been talks about it before.
Acquittal, that's going to set
There
a
may have
tone
been
going
scandals in the
forward. It may
past.
impact the jury, meaning folks are going to see one case went forward, didn't get a conviction. When a later case comes up, the general jury pool might be aware of that fact. It makes it harder to get another conviction.
I want to bring Amy and Michelle in here for a second, because while we're talking about DA Willis, the government has basically reached they want to impeach her or from office. I think we have a clip.
Up to this point, I have
First.
not seen any evidence that DA Willis's actions or lack thereof warrant action by the prosecuting attorney oversight commission. But that will ultimately be a decision that the commission will make. Regardless, in my mind, a special session of the General Assembly to run around this law is not feasible and may ultimately prove to be unconstitutional.
Now, there's a rash of laws around the country trying to say that you can pull a DA you disagree with. But what's significant about this moment?
Well, I think it's interesting because you have these two men sparring, and clearly Governor Kemp and Donald Trump, he's on the other side of Trump on this, and they have been sparring since 2020 over this. And obviously, he does not want to. He wants to uphold the law. He does not want to make this a political moment, and he's going up against other Republicans who are saying, and the pressure of other Republicans who are saying, "Come on, do this." So this is obviously not a good moment for the former president.
It's always fascinating. Like repeatedly, Brian Kemp does thing that is normal and hews to the law, and therefore is at odds with a large swath of the Republican Party and the former president. Michelle, one thing I want to ask you: the judge in the
Now this is a little concerning.
Former President Donald Trump co-defendants in the Georgia election subversion case face hefty legal bills as they mount defense against the sprawling RICO indictment. So far, Trump and his political machine have refused to assist with legal bills. So his one-time allies have to scramble to find other sources of funds. His former attorney, Jenna Ellis, who is one of the co-defendants in this case, wrote a post on rebranded Twitter, quote, "I was reliably informed Trump isn't funding any of us who are indicted. Why isn't..."
I mean, wouldn't they try to use, maybe he's not doing it because he doesn't want that to be used against him. Like, all right, you know, if I pay for their legal bills, then they're going to just basically allege him. Because I don't think they're trying to try any of these people together, even though, you know, and even if they did, fucking defense would, there's no way they could try that many people together. They could break it up and they could try them in pairs or something like that. But so I guess that's why, you know, they just opted to charge them all individually, which is still, I mean, either way you look at it, it's not efficient at all.
MAGA Incorporated funding everyone's defense. Now, a source close to Trump told CNN, "I don't think Ellis would be on the top of Trump's list anyway." Now, since the indictment, Ellis has already raised more than $180,000 through a faith-based crowdfunding site called Give, Send, Go. Joining us now with the analysis, CNN senior legal analyst Elie Honig, CNN political commentator Errol Louis, politics reporter for Semaphore Shelby Talcott, and the national correspondent for the Washington Post.
You know, the way these people are whining and stuff about having to pay legal bills for a president they got behind and everything, and now they're getting charged. It's like, I don't see how they don't fucking get it in their heads at all that it may look bad just off the fact that, if he pays, and he can't probably pay everyone's legal bills. I mean, come on.
You to the table. So I guess being part of this process does not necessarily mean you're going to get the.
Come on. Marjorie.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. So you can pretty much just tell us what you were sharing over there really quick.
Well, this is a devastating day for America. Georgia is embarrassed and ashamed of this Fulton County DA that's abusing her office to go after and arrest the former president of the United States, which is Joe Biden's top political opponent. And I'll tell you right now, in the state of Georgia, I met with GMA last week. This is a statistic everyone needs to understand. In the state of Georgia, a child is sold for sex. A child is sold for sex over 7,200 times every single month. But here, this disgrace of an attorney, the Fulton County DA, Fani Willis, is abusing her power to go after and arrest Trump She's not using her power of prosecution to go after child sex traffickers, go after gang members that are linked to the Mexican cartels. She's not doing this to go after murderers. We have the same murder rate as Chicago. This
What's
is
your
an
source on all this,
embarrassment.
Marjorie?
Why are you here?
You're talking about sex trafficking. What's your source?
What's your source?
GEMA,
Who's GMA?
Georgia Emergency Management Agency.
Have you had any
A
communication,
government agency. That is a
Marjorie? Have you had any communication with the former president at all today?
Yes, of course. I'm in constant communication with him. I support President Trump. I just came from the Republican debate in Milwaukee last night, landed here this morning. The reason why I'm here is because this is my home state. I was born and raised in the state of Georgia, and I'm here as a Georgian. I'm also here as a member of Congress. We're going to be standing up against the weaponized government. We're launching an investigation into Fani Willis through the Judiciary Committee. And we go back into session.
Last question about Fani Willis. You know that she did get the approval for the trial date to be moved up. Do you have any comment on that?
My comment to Fani Willis is we're going to make sure that she loses her job.
What do you think she's done wrong? What did she do wrong?
This is called weaponized government. The weaponized government is she's using her office for politics.
Okay, so
Exactly correct. Exactly correct. Check that out on Forbes breaking news channel. I want to check this out because I hadn't seen this. So it looks like a
mail extortion or revenge porn, but now there's something called sextortion, a very real and often deadly
Oh
scam.
yeah. Let me guess. You know what? This is interesting. This is being brought up. All right, because we're probably being sniped right now by my fucking stalkers that have no interest in my content. They're not fans of me. They're not, some of them may get interested by some of the stuff that I talk about or watch, but that's not why they're watching. They don't let that be known or anything. That they want to just try to interfere. And everybody knows that. I mean, I don't really need to explain this. If you're around, you know that. All right. If you're not around or you're new here, then you don't know it all, obviously. But if you look at their fucking channels, you can see. But for those that were around and on panels and stuff, very real. And some remember, specifically the fake messages they made with that so-called Dark Angel person. They tried getting to honeypot me. They wanted and was hoping that I'd end up talking to somebody online, end up liking somebody, and probably sending like some pictures of myself, and then that person would get paid for them. And I'd probably be a fucking, but that's why I don't participate in that type of shit. I'm gonna mess with somebody that's gonna be local. It's not gonna be on YouTube or anything. Like, I'm not on here for romance.
Scam aimed at teenagers through social media.
So if you see any messages or bullshit or supposed conversations, they're probably AI made or somebody using a voice clone changer of me. They have the technology. I got to keep making sure I'm putting that out there because that's going to be obscured since I don't have that live up. I do have the live though, where it said it. It's probably even up on their channel. Other people. I'm not worried about it because most people that are around, if you don't know, you can ask people over at Gene Teams and stuff.
Compromising photos of themselves with someone they believe to be in an online relationship with. And once they do, the scammers say they're going to post those photos unless they get money. As MTN's Jill Valley explains, kids in Montana are falling victim.
Waylon was definitely a different breed. And I knew it from the time he was 3 months old. Like, wow, look what I got.
16-year-old Waylon Shaver, a popular high schooler in Houston, Montana. Somebody who loved what all Montana kids do. Hunting, his truck, his family.
That kid lived the best life a little Montana boy ever could have.
But on December 14th, 2022, this young life came to a tragic end.
It was a normal morning, and that's one thing I'm really happy about, that in this house, you never go to bed or leave the house every day without saying, I love you, have a good day. I had 3 minutes to see what was going through his head. So that's his silver Ram Charger sitting out there, and I noticed it was gone, and that's when I knew immediately, like, something is not right.
Waylon drove up 9 Mile near his home and took his own life.
I knew something backed him into a corner, but it just took a month to find out what it really was. He didn't want to do what he did.
Waylon was being blackmailed in a scam called sextortion, and it's often aimed at teenagers. A crime explained to me by Montana Attorney General Austin Knudsen.
What we see and what sextortion is someone online typically posing as a peer, posing as someone who is, romantically or sexually interested in another young person, will get explicit photos of that person, and then they will turn around and try to blackmail them.
I met with Brian Cassidy, a computer crimes agent with the Montana Department of Justice in Helena. He told me since September of last year, he's had some 49 emergency calls from Montana kids in crisis over this scam.
They tell them, like, we're going to post this to your school, to your community. We're going to send this to that college you told us that you applied for. And it's going to ruin your life going forward, or you have to send us some money.
Jason believes in the hours before his son died, Waylon's online relationship.
Is that what you fucking working turds want to be known as? People that do shit along those lines? Because while you haven't gotten any explicit photos from me, thanks to my own self-interest and making sure not to get involved in anything like that, because you already did it with phone calls and everything else. I mean, really?
Suddenly flipped, and he was immediately trapped by foreign blackmailers, and this 16-year-old started panic.
But basically they threatened him to the point that they basically told him, like, hey, we're sending them out one by one right now. I firmly believe he thought that everything was out there. So before he drove up 9 Mile and sat down underneath the tree and did his business, he deleted his entire phone. There was no messages, there was no apps, there was nothing.
Waylon isn't the only one caught in this deadly web. I Googled sextortion and suicide, and a tragic story emerged. Dozens of teens have chosen to die, presumably because they were embarrassed or ashamed. And those on the other end of this scam simply don't care.
They don't care about anybody else's life. They don't, I wish they had a different heart, but they're at the point where there's been kids that say, hey, I'm just going to go kill myself if you keep bugging me. And they say, go ahead, your life's already over.
These people, it's their job. They go to work 10 hours a day. They sit in their space with their laptop and they build fake profiles and they aim them at specific ages.
All I had to do is get on his phone and send those guys a nice little selfie with a middle finger and say, leave them alone, and it would have been over with. It would have been over with.
I asked Jason why he was willing to share this painful story with me. He says it's because others need to know about this menacing crime against our children. Because he knows right now there's somebody else in trouble.
It's the only way I can really avenge it, honestly. It's the only way I can, it's good medicine, like I told you. It's the only way I can feel like I'm doing something for them. Like, people need to talk about it. You can't say enough about it. You cannot spread the word enough. Our kids are just so naive.
In Houston, Jill Valley, MTN News.
Yeah. That's fucked up. And I know they said it was foreign or what have you, but there are people that target people online and try to do stuff like this. I've had numbers text me. Of course, I can't fucking prove one way or another who it was, but it was people purporting, and they may have been trolling, what have you. It doesn't really matter to me, that part of it, if they were trolling or not. If they had actually had something of mine or what have you, like, then it would have been real. Like, it wouldn't have been no troll. It would have been real. And they would have, because they had said that the only way this could stop would be maybe if somehow I, struck a deal. And they've used that on lives before publicly and said, come over here and let's talk and hash it out and stuff. I mean, I don't see how they could even think that that would even be something that I would even entertain any further.
Their son was a high school standout. Then he was targeted, the victim of an online sextortion scheme. And sadly, 17-year-old Jordan DeMay took his own life.
And that was March of 2022. Then just last month, the men behind the extortion were indicted. And now his parents want you to know exactly what happened to their son that night. Kimberly Gill traveled to Marquette in the UP to meet them. And Kim, they told you this story is so important to get out for other parents.
It really is. And good evening to you guys. I have to tell you, I was so moved meeting Jennifer Buda and John DeMay. They are so brave. They feel strongly it's their purpose to share what happened to their son, even though it's difficult to talk about. They want you to know what sextortion is, how fast it happens, so you can talk to your children because they feel it could save someone else's life.
But that would have been a senior, would have been his last season at Marquette High School. But that smile right there was classic Jordan DeMay.
Jordan DeMay's parents describe all the things that made the 17-year-old special.
Jordan was a really kind individual. He was very social. He was inclusive with everybody.
Oh, that's fucking sad, man.
A judge called this
prayers to his family.
teenage girl literal hell on wheels. She got 15 years to life for killing her boyfriend and his friend in one of the most horrific ways possible. Here's what the judge saw. Mackenzie Shirilla's Toyota Camry speeds 100 miles an hour down a quiet street, then jumps a curb and rams into a brick warehouse. The whole thing is caught on security cameras. But here's something even more bizarre. The brake lights don't flash once. This was no accident, according to the judge. Let's take a look at the evidence. Just after dawn on a Sunday morning in July 2022, a passerby reports a bad accident in a Strongsville, Ohio office park. Firefighters pull 3 people out of the wreckage. Davion Flanagan, 19, Mackenzie Shirilla, she's 17 in high school. Her fuzzy pink Prada slip is still stuck to the gas pedal. And Dominic Russo, Mackenzie's boyfriend, 20 years old. Davion and Dominic are dead. Mackenzie is the sole survivor. Everyone assumes it's a tragic drunk driving accident at first. Mackenzie is rushed to the hospital. She was seriously injured, but somehow she survived after a lot of surgeries. Meanwhile, detectives are digging into the crash, and thanks to a short video from a streetlight camera, they find a few facts that just don't add up. At first, Mackenzie is just cruising along slowly, using her blinker to turn to an empty business park. Then, out of nowhere, she floors it. The Camry gets up to 100 miles an hour in less than a mile, then jerks left and right before it jumps the curb and slams into the brick building, killing the 2 passengers. Why was Mackenzie driving toward an empty office complex at 5:30 on a Sunday morning? And worse, she pushed the pedal all the way down 4 seconds before the crash and never once touched the brakes, according to crash investigators who checked out the Camry's computer system. That doesn't sound like an accident. Then they found even more disturbing evidence. That wasn't the first time Mackenzie was in the office park. Cameras caught her shortly before the accident in the same area around the same time. Prosecutors say she was there mapping her route and checking how many witnesses might be around. But why would a 17-year-old murder her boyfriend and his friend to end a toxic relationship once and for all, according to the prosecution? They say Dominic and Mackenzie fought in the week before the crash. A man who was living at the Russo house said he overheard Mackenzie threaten to crash the car while he was on the phone with Dominic. There was also video of the couple arguing and Mackenzie threatening to key his car. Davion Flanagan just happened to be there, the poor soul who got a ride home from the wrong person. The group was meant to be coming home from a Saturday night party where they were smoking marijuana, according to the prosecution. That wasn't a one-off thing for Mackenzie, if her TikTok is to be believed.
Not even cool. I'm just one of those girls that can do a lot of drugs and not die.
After the crash, doctors say Mackenzie was drowning in a sea of grief, guilt, and shame, even saying she wished she was the one who was dead. After reviewing the evidence and building their case, the police decided Mackenzie deliberately crashed that car. She was charged with 4 counts of murder, felonious assault, and aggravated vehicular homicide in November 2022. And that's not all. A bag of shrooms and a scale were found in her jacket pocket after the crash. That earned her one more charge: drug possession and possession of criminal tools. In the summer of 2023, Mackenzie went to court. There was no jury. She chose a bench trial after hearing.
And that's one thing I do not understand. I don't see how her mother or any of them was like, yeah, bench trial. You got this. Like, a bench trial I mean, especially with the culture of a lot of people don't think public defenders are worth anything. So, which I don't think she used a public defender like, you know, they were aware enough to opt for a private attorney. They got one. Probably had to do and spend a lot of money, and her mother put up something to get it in some way, maybe a loan. You never know. I mean, then again, they may come from money. And so, and then the lawyer, you know, like, oh, yeah, we'll go for a bench trial. You know, like the lawyer should have known better than, I don't know.
She'd be tried as an adult. Her defense was simple. Thanks to the video, it was obvious she was driving recklessly and, sad to say, had a part in the deaths of 2 people. But murder? Friends who were at the house party the night before said the couple seemed happy. They weren't arguing. Other people, including Mackenzie's aunt, also said the couple seemed happy. They were talking about future plans in the months leading up to the crash. Before, during, and after Dominic's funeral on August 8th, 2022, Mackenzie posted over and over on his obituary page, "I love you, my nug. I will never stop thinking about you. You are my soulmate. You made me the girl I am today. I wish I could be with you every single day. This doesn't seem real. You were perfect. I love you so much." So what actually happened in the car? We'll never know for sure. Mackenzie says she blacked out and doesn't remember a thing, but her mother took a guess. Maybe she passed out. In 2017, Mackenzie was diagnosed with a disorder that makes her pass out if her sodium and hydration levels are too low. The car's computer system shows the steering wheel jerking right then left roughly 5 seconds before the accident. Now that can be interpreted in a lot of ways. Maybe she was trying to avoid that brick wall, her lawyer said. During all of this, as if Dominic Russo's family wasn't going through enough, the unthinkable happened. His memorial was burned to the ground. They still aren't quite sure how or why. And then in August 2023, the judge made her decision.
That's horrible.
It's a matter of speculation. They have no relevance to the weighing of the evidence in this case. The totality of the evidence clearly demonstrates that Mackenzie Shirilla acted purposely and intentionally. In the early morning hours of July 31st, 2022, her purpose was to kill Dominic Russo and Deanna Orlando. No reasonable fact finder could view the totality of this evidence in this case and come to any other conclusion. Her actions were controlled, methodical, deliberate, intentional, and purposeful. This was not reckless driving. This was murder.
She morphed from a responsible driver to literal hell on wheels, the judge said. Mackenzie's guilty verdict came with 15 years behind bars before she's eligible for parole. What do you think? Did the judge get it right? Was this murder or an accident?
And that's your recap.
Thanks for hanging out with us today.
If you like getting all the crime in half the time, go ahead.
First comment was about how she chose a judge over a jury.
Yes, the LAPD is not commenting on this frightening story. And in fact, it flew under the radar until our assignment desk at Fox 11 found out about it exclusively. Suffices to say, this was a very close call for this family.
Mostly fear for my kids, for us. And I feel like it doesn't matter if you have a big or small house, or I just feel that we can't be safe anymore.
This stay-at-home mom of 4 is visibly shaken as she recounts 1 week ago, August 24th, when 3 masked men attempted to break into the family home on South Wooster in the Pico Robertson neighborhood. Surveillance footage obtained by Fox 11 captures the trio in dark clothing. In just 6 seconds, they managed to jump over the fence, skillfully making their way by the side of the house and into the backyard filled with children's toys. They are now just steps from an unlocked sliding door, which leads into the home.
Here you see them. They already jumped and they're like walking in towards the backyard.
It's in the afternoon, and this mom has gone to pick up a child from school, leaving her baby with the housekeeper. The housekeeper is inside the house and can now see the masked men in the backyard just feet away. She grabs the baby and runs for safety to a bathroom.
Thank God.
Suddenly, a series of frantic text messages in Spanish from the employee to the mom.
Some of them I understood and some I didn't. But most of them I understood as help.
This is the text chain of terror the mom shared with us. Por favor, las cámaras, corre, unos hombres, dos muchachos. Yo alcancé a poner la puerta seguro. El baño con la nena. It roughly translates to please, cameras outside. They came to rob. 2 young men. I managed to lock the door. I'm in the bathroom with the baby girl.
I was in here within less than a minute. I didn't know if they were in the house or not. So I got my nanny and my baby out and I called the police. Helicopter was in the air really quick. We heard it. It was very loud. Police came within like 10 minutes.
But mercifully, the would-be assailants did not come into the house. The family was safe. The camera footage shows the masked men turning around, racing to get back to their gray sedan. The entire frightening, potentially violent invasion over in little over a minute. But not for this family and their brave, fast-thinking nanny.
They were just coming here to steal, but they weren't here to hurt anyone.
Yeah, you don't know that though. Oh my God. What the? This was 8 years ago, but still, what the fuck?
This is a disturbing story to talk about. The details just tough to mention. A man is in a psych ward tonight after police say he sexually assaulted a pit bull.
And the woman who owns the dog was home when that horrific scene was unfolding in her yard. She confronted the guy, even held him at gunpoint until police got there. News 8's Bob Wilson has an exclusive interview tonight with the dog's owner. He's live in Hartford with more on what she had to say about this whole ordeal. Bob?
Alice Woodruff is a brave woman tonight. She told us her story. She had a gun in one hand and compassion in her heart. She's a mental health worker, and she says the scene that unfolded in front of her, literally her own backyard, right off the porch, was disturbing, and she's speaking out tonight in hopes of changing the system.
I thought my dog had killed somebody because I saw a man underneath her. I started to scream. I had a citronella candle. I threw it at him, screaming at him, "Get off my dog. Like, you got to get out of here." And he said, no. He said, today's the day that we're going to spend the rest of our lives together.
Alice Woodruff lived in Waterbury. She says on Tuesday at 10 in the morning, she found a man attacking her dog Layla, described as an aggressive rescue pit bull who they keep on an 800-pound tow chain in the backyard.
Damn. I'm surprised she didn't fuck him up.
The yard, naked, just yelling that, this is our day. You have to prosper in it. And, ISIS sent me, and I'm like thinking to myself, oh, did something like this just land in my backyard? I ran in, I got my gun out of the bedroom, and then realized, as usual, my ammunition is in my car, locked in my glove compartment. I showed him that I put the ammunition in, but I always kept the gun at my side trying to talk to him. And he just kept saying that this was the plan, that, we were going to die today. It was going to be a massacre. He didn't seem to care that I had the gun, and like I said, I kept it down, gave him a warning, and then I shot the gun. I shot the gun to the right into the dirt.
After you shoot the gun, he does take off.
No,
even after you shoot it.
He put his arms out like this and started coming forward and telling me to kill him. But to know that as soon as I killed him, that we were going to die. Honestly, the whole time I thought there was a bomb or a gun and he was going to take it out waiting, to just do this massacre.
Woodruff works in the mental health field and says, standing next to the pile of clothes, the naked man in front of her, she felt danger, but she also felt compassion.
I knew he needed help, that there was something mentally going on, and I've been in the field for so long. There's no help for these people.
After all this, you're still concerned for his safety.
I don't want to do it to anybody else. Somebody else would have killed him. He was only 22 when I found out. So, yeah.
Traumatic experience for her. Now, police say that this man was arrested. Actually, he's not been arrested. He's taken and locked up in a facility, in a mental health
crazy,
facility
all in
for
the
tonight.
fucking
And he
same
will be
thing.
looked at. If he is released, police say he'll immediately be arrested on charges of sexual assault and cruelty to an animal, as well as breach of peace. Now, a lot of these interviews are extremely it's disturbing details we didn't want to put in the story. We actually put them on our website at WTNH.com.
How about indecent exposure? Yeah, I'm sure that fucking got him put on the registry, as it should. That fucking other girl that donut operator covered needs to be put on the registry too. Fucking their dog. It's fucking sick. Uh-oh. Somebody rammed a cop car.
Guys, is this shooting justified? Earlier this morning in Los Angeles County, a bunch of those dudes doing donuts in the middle of the street like a bunch of ass were doing donuts in the middle of the street like a bunch of ass. When the Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy pulled up and was like, hey, stop being a bunch of ass. One of the people did not like that. So what they did is they rammed the Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy several times before the deputy opened fire. I don't know what you expected to happen.
Damn! He got shot at and did it again. I don't think he's about to do it again. Oh, I think he must have got hit. Because he's backing out like, fuck this.
The suspect was taken to the hospital with multiple gunshot wounds, and their condition is unknown at this time. Follow me for more crime news.
Wow. Make sure to check out again Donut Operator. That's at Donut Operator. Hail to the no, to the no. Oh, shit.
On New tonight, 2 Nigerian nationals extradited to the U.S. today for their alleged role in a sexual extortion ring. We sat down with the mother of one of their victims tonight. She's urging parents to speak with their children.
Jordan was an incredible young man. He loved to play sports. He played football. He played basketball. Just a real fun, loving kid.
Jennifer Buda says her son Jordan had a smile that drew people in, and he was friends with everybody. Sadly, the 17-year-old took his life after becoming a victim of sextortion.
So Jordan began talking to an individual on Instagram in the evening of March 24th, 2022. All of the details of the conversation, we don't know. They haven't been released to us. But there was exchange of images, and then the suspects allegedly asked Jordan for money.
She says they asked him for $1,000. He sent them $300, and they asked for more money.
Jordan at some point in the early morning hours of March 25th, 2022, said that he was going to kill himself. And the suspects told him, go ahead and kill yourself. And if you don't, I will make you do it.
The Nigerian nationals allegedly responsible, 22-year-old Samuel Ogashi and 20-year-old Samson Ogashi, were extradited to the U.S. Saturday after being indicted for an international sexual extortion ring. The extradition proceedings of a third defendant, 19-year-old Ezekiel Roberts, is underway.
The indictment alleges that these defendants targeted more than 100 victims, both minors and adults.
Fucking crazy.
One of the victims in this case was 17-year-old Jordan DeMay from Marquette, Michigan, who tragically took his life as a result of this crime.
The indictment includes 4 counts, including conspiracy to sexually exploit minors, conspiracy to distribute child pornography, and conspiracy to commit stalking through the internet. Samuel Ogashi is also charged with sexual exploitation and attempted sexual exploitation of a minor resulting in death, and could face up to life in prison. Nigerian officials have separately charged 3 other individuals who they say were a part of a larger criminal scheme.
I gotta say that conspiracy to commit stalking through the internet charge was interesting.
So they're being transferred to the holding facility here in Michigan. They'll be in the custody of the U.S. Marshal Service. Tomorrow they'll have an initial appearance before a judge. We'll be informed of the charges again. of the charges against them.
Then they'll go to trial, although the timeline will depend on a judge.
I am very, very grateful to our government, our FBI, their counterparts in Nigeria for the work that they did to make this happen and bring these individuals over here where they can, face our justice system with their charges. At the end of the day, though, none of it will bring my son back.
Jennifer is keeping her son's legacy alive with one of his favorite sayings.
One of the things that Jordan would say to people was, "I got you." So what we did is we created a logo, which is hashtag I got you in capital letters.
The logo can be found on shirts, hats, and hoodie. The money raised will go towards a scholarship fund each year at Marquette Senior High School, where Jordan used to attend. Jennifer encourages parents to talk with their kids about the reality of sextortion so that this tragedy doesn't happen to them.
Please talk about it as a family. Have a plan in place if this
That's fucked up.
does happen to your child. And just keep those lines of communication open to let them know that no matter what they
An Apollo Beach woman is recovering in the hospital in Florida tonight after being stung by a stingray while wading into the water in Ruskin, Florida.
Well, thankfully, she's alive here today. Fox's Matthew
Hell, I know. That
and
killed
has how
fucking
this entire thing unfolded and what she wants.
Steve Irwin got hit in the chest.
The first thing that comes to mind upon hearing this story is the crocodile hunter, Steve Irwin, his untimely death nearly 20
Must have
years
not got
ago.
hit
Just
in the
because
head.
that's how unusual it is to hear about upper body trauma, a puncture wound from the venomous spine of a stingray. This woman's name is Christy O'Brien. She's being treated at St. Joseph's Hospital in Tampa, calling this a freak accident and a warning for some viewers. You may find these pictures we're going to show you disturbing. To set the scene for you, it was Tuesday when O'Brien with her husband, they were at Little Harbor in Ruskin. She said she wanted to cool off from the heat on Tuesday, so she wades into the water only about knee deep. When she leans back to wet her hair and shoulders, she reports feeling a sharp stabbing pain in her upper back. And as she leans forward to get out of the water, her husband back on the beach, horrified by what he sees, a live stingray hanging by its tail from O'Brien's back, its venomous spine piercing her upper back more than 4 inches deep and missing her lung by mere inches.
Oh.
O'Brien knew not to agitate the animal by making any movements. Paramedics freed her using shears to cut the stingray at the base of its tail.
It was terrifying, like feeling them cut it loose and then it like flipped away. And at this point I started becoming hysterical. Just knowing that it was not alive on me anymore, but the barb was still in me. It was quite terrifying.
At the hospital, a trauma team carefully removing the spine. O'Brien now being treated for poisoning from the stingray's venom. She's on antibiotics to treat any possible bacterial infection from the very warm water. O'Brien says in the moment she was certain she was going to die, but that it was her husband who kept her from panicking. She's also thanking those first responders who came into the water to free her from that stingray. She says as a longtime Florida resident, she does plan on getting back into the water, maybe just not into the bay next time. Reporting from Ruskin, Matthew McClellan, Fox.
Fuck that, man. Like, she made a fucking dude, like, she survived fucking the thing that killed Steve Irwin. What?
Time now is
Dude shot old grandma, man.
6:23. Today's Manhunt Monday, an elderly woman shot in the back and her killer still on the loose. Now her family is pleading for anyone who may have answers to come forward to help them get some sort of closure. WREG's anchor Greg Hurst reports.
Somebody's housing a murderer. Somebody's feeding a murderer here in Brownsville, Tennessee. We have a murderer walking around Brownsville, Tennessee in our community, and we need to bring him to justice.
Brownsville Police Chief Kelvin Evans won't rest until someone is behind bars for killing 81-year-old Warlene Turner Jones, affectionately known as Sis. Evans says the shooting happened August 1st, shortly before 10 p.m. on North Monroe Street. Evans says Sis called 911 saying she had been shot and needed help.
I didn't expect what I heard, but I mean, it was basically, her pleading for help, and her being the religious woman praying while she was doing it.
Evans says Sis was sitting in the back of her house when someone walked up and shot her. He says she was hit 4 times and still managed to get to the front door and unlock it for paramedics. Evans says Sis was still alert and talking when paramedics first arrived. Angela Jones is Sis's daughter.
Who would want to do this to an elderly lady who loved her community, who loved people?
When Jones heard about the shooting, she rushed to her mother's home.
I said, that's my mother. I said, I just want her to know that I'm here. She's not by herself.
Sis was taken to the hospital, but sadly, she did not survive. Brownsville police say several people have been questioned, but no one charged.
For anyone to target that house would have to know Miss Sis. You have to know where she would be seated in that house. Yeah, I do believe it was someone from Brownsville that knew her and targeted that house.
Tennessee Governor Bill Lee announced a $1,000 reward for information leading to an arrest and conviction. If you know who killed Warlene Sis Turner Jones, you're urged to call the TBI at 800-TBI-FIND.
That's 800 TBI find, y'all. It's fucked up, man. Viewer discretion advised, y'all.
All right, really difficult subject matter to start with here tonight. We've obtained the 911 call that led police to an apartment where 2 children were found locked in a dog cage. Several other children in there had been abused as well. This was last month in the Central Valley.
Yeah, this, as we also see some graphic body camera video of the moment that police went into that apartment to make the discovery. And we want to warn you, the video is very difficult to watch. News 3's Tiffany Lang live in studio with details of this investigation.
Married couple Travis Doss and Amanda Stamper are behind bars following a disturbing video you see behind me where you see 2 children locked inside a dog kennel inside their apartment back in June.
That's horrible. They don't deserve that.
Neighbors continue to wonder why such a devastating situation happened in their community. 2 children locked inside a dog kennel in a Central Valley apartment. Travis Doss and his wife Amanda Stamper arrested. The arrest report shows police were dispatched to a Walgreens near the apartment after receiving this call from Stamper on June 11th.
I'm just terrified right now. I need somebody to come here quick.
Stamper tells the dispatcher in the 911 call that Doss is inside his car outside the pharmacy with their 2-year-old daughter and that he has her phone.
Why is he going to come after you?
Because he told me he was going to kill me today. He already beat the kids up and I'm terrified.
He's beating your child up?
The kids in the apartment. He's super violent.
Law enforcement made contact with Doss outside Walgreens, and other officers went to the apartment less than a mile away. Here's a look at the body camera footage that is very graphic. When they entered the place, they found 6 abused children. 2 of them were in a kennel with a padlock. After opening the kennel, police say one child was able to get out unassisted, and the other had eyes bruised and swollen shut. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition. In an interview with police, Doss confessed to beating the kids, except the baby, with belts, cords, a skillet, and his hands. He said he also allowed the triplets to beat one of the other children. Stamper would later be arrested as well after an investigation determined that she had committed the crime of child neglect. News 3 spoke with her in a jailhouse interview about the call from Walgreens
She
that
did more than that. She was complicit with that shit.
led police to the apartment.
Crazy, and that's the only way I felt safe to do it at the time. I was always scared to go home because I never did, because he threatens my family and he also threatens the kids that he has and me if I ever call the police. So I didn't know.
Fuck that. Get him locked up, then he can't do shit. I mean, you know whether or not if he's powerful enough. I mean, I don't think she knew or would have been reason to believe enough he would have had power within from behind the jail to do anything.
it just got really bad, and I just knew I had to call him.
Samper claims that Doss has also been abusing her since they met 6 years ago.
I'll always say something when he does anything. I will say something. I'll yell, and I'll be like, "Please stop!" Like, this is insane. But then he like lashes out on me. I mean,
I ain't got no sympathy for her.
You said I want her. Fucking arrest her. The damn dog's dead. Please don't grab me like that.
Hey,
Please don't grab me like that.
Stop her.
Get out of here before I scream at you! Really? She just said that to me. I'm stabbing in my foot. It hurts.
Crazy woman.
I'm not running, dude. I'm not a bad person. Can you please stop hurting me? You're hurting me. You are my foot. You're hurting me, dude. I'm not trying to run, dude. I don't have shoes on. What do you mean? You are. You act like I'm a criminal.
Just killed your fucking dog.
No, I didn't.
How has your dog been in the car
I left
all day?
my parents in Bedford at between 5 and 6 in the morning, like real early, because my dad leaves for work with him. My car was running the whole time. And then I took him out and then put him back in with the car running like I do, and the car died.
What time was that at?
About noon. Car died.
What time is it now? You don't do that. And that's fucked up.
What's going on? Okay, can you sign this real quick? It's just a white.
No, he's not moving. He's down there. I didn't know that.
Christian Pleasant Valley is Volkswagen. This is going to be a rental stop. Lane changes, no signal following too closely. 65 miles per hour. I'll be going to court on this one, I think.
Probably she obviously got doing something else that was more important than getting your dog out the fucking car.
What's that to open? Go ahead.
Is there a husky in that vehicle?
Yeah, send me another unit.
Okay, I just have the animal warden on the way. 550. Okay. Assist 064407 Kenmore. And gonna have the animal warden on the way for this complaint.
Here, your car's open. Go ahead, open this. So go and open it.
06, just be advised, the animal warden is advising that the animal has been declared dangerous.
Oh, okay. Just here, you get your dog, huh? That animal's dangerous, kid. I'm not sure it's alive. You have to. The animal warden's on their way here.
I'll be there in a couple minutes.
Okay, literally, it's been in the car.
Come on, dude. Like, you got a gun. You're telling me if the dog's not moving, she says he's not, you should check on it. Then again, I mean, she wasn't worried about her animal before.
Behind the driver's seat.
You said I want her. Fucking arrest.
Oh, shit.
No, I wasn't my fault.
Right,
Car was running and it died.
here, come back here with me, okay?
Hang on.
She's gonna take
I
it.
need somebody to help. Oh, no, I'm not scared.
All right, come here. You're being detained right now, okay?
No, they're arresting me,
Come
Phil.
here. Come here. Stand up.
Yeah.
Stand up.
I gotta have no underwear on.
Okay, stand up.
My foot. Look.
Just stand.
Ooh.
Okay, just stay right there.
Hold on. It hurts.
What'd you step on?
Something.
Nasty.
I don't know.
I ain't got no underwear on.
All right, hang up the phone.
Nasty.
Phil, they're arresting me.
Hang up the
Thank
phone.
you. Thank you.
Hang up the phone.
Please.
Okay.
Thank you. It's your fault.
Come on. Hang the phone up.
Why is?
All right.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. Come on.
Please don't grab me like that.
Okay. Hey, relax.
Don't grab me like that.
Stop it.
Get out of here! Why screaming? Really? She just said that to me. I'm stabbing in my foot.
Stop.
It hurts. I'm not running, dude. I'm not a bad person.
Yes, you are.
You're hurting me. You are my foot. You're hurting me, dude. I'm not trying to run, dude. I don't even have shoes on.
94.6.
They are. You don't think I'm a criminal?
Just killed your fucking dog.
No, I didn't.
So what happened?
I was waiting for Phil and my battery.
It don't matter. Your excuse.
You have anything on you? It's in the car. Okay. Do you have anything on you? Is there any
I don't know if you need to tell him that again. You know, you just make sure to tell him that. Probably get in there and it starts stinking. Fuck to kill a fucking husky.
You're being detained right now while I investigate this.
AKA while they figure out what they're going to charge you with. That's just the same as if you had left a fucking child in the damn car. Well, maybe not. It may not be a felony. Then again, it might be.
Gone. Nothing. Do you live here? Oh, you're right. Okay. Yeah, she's back here. If you're not a part of this, can I just have you step back there, please? Okay. Thanks.
He was cited for reckless outrage.
In the car. What's your social? Nothing. Just can you do me a favor? We're investigating. Thank you. What's your social? Okay. I got the air on. Oh. She's got to be on something, dude. Overnight, dude. 506. So she's acting super like she's on something.
Yeah, she's probably drugging. And that's why her dog's dead now.
People, man. It's a people.
Fucking great.
She's probably gonna be coming back with me. I just don't know.
All right, that's Casey Live. She's 31 Ballot North.
Okay. Try to talk to her. Nothing, dude. She's like kind of scattered. That's why she has something. So what happened, Casey?
What do you mean today?
How has your dog been in the car all day?
My parents in Bedford at between 5 and 6 in the morning early because my dad leaves for work with him. My car was running the whole time. And then I took him out and then put him back in with the car running like I do, and the car died.
What time was that at?
About noon. Car died.
What time do you think it is now? So you're telling me the keys are in
Now,
there?
but I've been outside.
The keys are in there?
Yeah, the keys are in it. Unless
Well,
I
how
took
would it
them
just
out.
die?
Huh?
How would the car just die?
I don't know. The battery keeps dying in that car.
So you knew it
Why
kept
would
dying
you leave your
before.
dog in the car?
Because I was leaving again. I don't just leave him on it.
I mean,
On purpose like that.
It's 2.5 hours, and it's
I was
hot.
outside with him. I put him in there because it's hotter in the house than it is in the car. With the car running, it's cooler. That's true. But it's really hot in there.
All right. More than I need to know. I'm gonna go cuff her up. So. What's that? She's just all over the place. I think there's a history. Can you just stay here with her for 1 second? I'm gonna go talk to her real quick, and then dude. Hey, Julie. Is there a history with her? I'm assuming. Okay. Yeah. No, I talked to her. It's definitely. So I just wanted to see if I have her back there. That's why I wanted to talk to you to make sure that I'll be.
Yes, take her to jail.
I get it. Okay. I don't know, dude. I just unlocked it and.
This was original calls for a lockout?
Yes, but then if you look in the CAD comments, it even says the dog's been in the car all night. The call was for a lockout because there's a dog in the car.
So she called for a lockout.
Correct.
Oh, wow.
Yes. I think somebody else is on the way, but it's a shitty way to start the day.
Fucking irresponsible as shit.
What? Hold on. I can't hear you. What's that? What door? Okay. Is anybody else home with you? Who's Phil, the owner of that car? Well, he's the owner of the dog.
So why you killed someone else's dog?
The other part owner? What's that? Okay. No, according to her, no. The guy that owns that car is allegedly on the way here.
Good, 540. Service 154.
Man, I'd be mad as fuck, dude. I'd be mad as fuck too if I was an animal control person.
Oh. Yeah, but
They deal with that shit all the time. Here's another case.
oh, hello, friends.
Actually got pulled down. I have video of it. Everything was up and secure, but the
Wait. Why did this cop try to shoot a dog but hit a woman? A Pomeranian too. Man, them things are always fucking little ankle biters and shit.
Huh?
My ex is fucking, dude, he, I mean, and I understandably why, obviously, after the fucking accident, he fucking, like, he was apprehensive, like, he didn't, like, and I was always nothing but try to be cool and kind to him, but, that was just one dog, you know. I usually don't like cats, and cats don't care, I don't think, for me too much, at least the last one the friend had. But usually dogs, I always get along with dogs. But that was one dog that, no, they didn't really care for me too much.
Nah, she not. Nah. No, she ain't.
And sometimes they do it out of aggression that's built up. Like you ever leave your dog home, like I've done it before and found it with Brownie even. If there's something on the floor that can be torn up or something, or they can get access to, and you know, like it's kind of aggression and then combination of like maybe separation anxiety too. And if you come back and you see that they chewed on it or whatever and like got it to the point to where it's been ripped up, what they did was they grabbed it and they went back and forth with it and shook their head, you know, in anger, aggression. And so that's a part of it too. But obviously this dog is about to charge one of them cops, obviously. But I can't believe they would think that they needed to shoot it.
Got some dogs in there too somewhere.
There he goes talking about him.
Hey.
How about don't open the door? Huh.
Yeah.
Let them secure their dogs. How about that? That's probably a good idea.
Bunch of dogs in the house.
Tell them to lock them up before they open the door. Man.
Get back. Get your dog. I'll kill him. Get your dog. You better get that. Get your dog. I'll kill him. You better get your house. Get back. You better get back. I'll kill him. Get back. Get back. I shot who?
You dumb motherfucker. Well, you just failed in target isolation.
I didn't shoot her.
Yeah, I'm sure she's just pretending.
This is who you called, Tater.
Oh my God! Hold it! He shot my head! God!
I didn't shoot her. I shot the dog.
Yeah, he knows he's on camera. Go ahead and say that, buddy. But the bullet hit her, so you shot her.
Where? He shot me!
Where?
Oh, man, I just got a back surgery.
I think a dog scratched you.
The dog. I didn't shoot her. I shot the dog.
I felt him hit me.
Listen, calm down, Tina. Calm down. Get a little scratch on your leg. You have to get up.
Calm down, my motherfucking ass.
I'm paralyzed.
You want me to help you get up?
No, I'm scared of y'all.
Don't be scared of me.
You get off my property.
I didn't shoot you. I shot the dog. Your dog tried to attack me. I shot the dog. I got everything on camera. I got everything on camera.
Yeah. Let's see these comments. Let's see. The channel said shoots at a small dog but strikes a woman. So you may have intended to shoot the dog, and I'm not doubting that, but you failed and you shot the woman.
Good, because you don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
Leave me in.
If you.
I called the ambulance.
Send the ambulance this way.
He shot me. No dog didn't get me.
I didn't shoot
He
you.
claims she said
I shot at the dog.
He actually claims that he's claiming, because I unless we're about to hear it on video and haven't yet, that she sent the dogs out on him.
I didn't shoot at you.
It's funny to hear him say that. What you mean to say is you didn't mean to shoot her, but you shot her, dude. She's not fucking faking.
Control your dog. We come out here. Hey, go ahead, call Donnie.
Yeah, it'd probably be best for you to just get off this fucking scene. What's he say?
She got a little scratch on her leg. From the dog.
A scratch.
Call this back there. The same lady, the cuff man down there, the height lady. Cuff man down there, that one nothing. Donnie, I called Donnie. He said, call you. I call you out too. All right, man, bye.
Turns his camera off.
Oh, and son of dogs out, and they
Hold on.
in villages. Well, she son of dogs out, and they start.
She sent her dogs out. She did not send her man.
Running toward me, both of them. They ran past, kept started running toward me, and I shot the dog, and I think the dog scratched her. She said I shot her, but just come on out and make sure everything's cool.
Irregardless if the bullet penetrated, grazed, anything, if it hit her, you missed, because the dog don't have a bullet hole in it or anything. And if there's obviously going to be a hole probably on the porch or wherever, or the house. This is fucking crazy. The cop who is right next to the door isn't even flinching at the dogs. Exactly. The other cop pulls his gun as he hears barking and shoots at the Pomeranian. A dog that could cause a little ankle scratch. Exactly. He shot a woman who called him for help because he's afraid of a 12-pound cotton ball. When he went on to lie about shooting her, I guarantee you he'll still be on the payroll carrying a gun. Exactly. He got the job for all the wrong reasons. He did not think he wanted to help the public. Trump was obviously terrified and shouldn't have been hired in the first. Yeah, it's amazing he didn't kill somebody. Can't believe they'd call her a liar while she's laying there. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, how can they sit there and say, oh, you just got a scratch? The deputy wasn't charged or officially reprimanded. Wow. No, I didn't guess that. I would have thought maybe today with the cameras things would be different, but I guess not. Oh, here she is.
New at 10 o'clock tonight, a Columbia County Sheriff's deputy shoots at a dog, but winds up hitting a woman standing on her front porch. 7 on your side's Maureen Glisovic joins us now with the body cam footage KATV has obtained and the lawsuit filed against the deputy and the department. And be warned, you may find parts of this report disturbing. Maureen.
Tina Height still has the bullet lodged in her shin. She's now not only dealing with anxiety, but also continuous doctor's appointments. She initially called 911 for help, but instead was shot on.
So it didn't just graze her like they were saying with a scratch or whatever. It actually went in her.
On her own front porch. Take a look.
Get back. Get your dog. I'll kill him.
He said, I'll kill him. I'll kill him. Get your dog. So he's already ran at you once and ran back, the bigger one. And you decide to shoot at the smaller one just out of what? Principle? Because you said so?
No. You better get that. Get your.
He shoots once and obviously hit the ground or did a warning shot. That was probably enough. The other cop was looking back at him like, really, dude?
Columbia County Deputy Brian Williams fires a warning shot, but that quickly escalates.
Get back. I'll kill that.
I'll kill that motherfucker. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to play well in court.
Now pay attention to the bottom.
There's the little doggy. Oh my God, the little ferocious 10-pound ball of fur.
Right of your screen.
You better get back. I'll kill it.
That brownie weighs more than he does.
Get back. Get back.
That's really bad target. Dude, he was on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, which from his angle should have been like to his at least like bottom middle of his, like in front of him, sort of. And instead of hitting closer in front of him, he shot behind. I don't know. I mean, how did it? Because it don't seem like that thing was in front of the woman at all.
I shot who?
He said, "I shot who?"
I didn't shoot her.
Williams appears to aim at a Pomeranian, but instead hits Tina Height, who is standing right next to another deputy.
Very scary. I've never been shot before, so I didn't know where I was. I mean, I knew I was hit. I didn't know how bad. I didn't know, I didn't understand.
Nearly 1 year later, the bullet is still lodged in her shin. Her attorney,
Why?
Trey Kitchens, tells 7 on Your Side the deputy's actions were beyond negligent.
He missed, he didn't hit the dog, and instead shot my client with his fellow deputy standing about 8 inches from my client.
Yeah. I wonder how it would have went if he had actually hit him.
It is by the grace of God or fool's luck that my client isn't dead, another deputy isn't dead, or someone in the house isn't dead.
I'm nervous.
Exactly, because it could have easily went through one person and hit another, or went through the structure and hit somebody.
Call the police again, that's for sure.
Huh. That's what she learned from it.
I expected them to come from my protection, and instead I was the victim.
The lawsuit also names Columbia County Sheriff Mike Lowe.
We also are alleging that the sheriff of Columbia County clearly did not train him, did not educate him, and if that kind of behavior is appropriate in Columbia County, there's a bigger issue with that department in general.
Kitchens adds he hopes to take this deputy off the streets.
Anybody who's seen that video knows that gentleman doesn't need to be a dog catcher, much less be carrying a firearm and squeezing off rounds.
I requested the deputy's personnel file in search of reprimand or suspension documents, but none exist. It's unclear whether the deputy has gone through additional training because of this incident. However, his file does include training certificates
I mean,
spanning
that'll have to be up to a judge, but I think at the very least he should be liable money-wise.
over several years. Chris?
Maureen, thank you. We have requested a statement from the attorney representing the deputy, the sheriff, and the department in this lawsuit, but we have not heard back. KET.
Of course.
A woman in Arkansas is now suing her local sheriff's office, saying that a deputy that had come to her property fired his gun at her Pomeranian. And as bad as it would have been had he hit the Pomeranian, a different tragedy occurred. He hit her with the bullet because he was so terrified of this vicious attack dog. This is Tina Height, a resident of Columbia County. So she apparently called the sheriff's office because she had an issue with something related to domestic violence. So according to body cam footage, which unfortunately we cannot play for you because it's local news, Brian Williams is a deputy that gets there. He is apparently, they're talking back and forth, the different law enforcement officers, saying that she's got some dogs. So they walk up to the front yard to knock on her door. And Williams stands back while another deputy knocks on the door. The door opens, a couple of dogs walk out on the front porch, and Height explains that they won't bite the deputies, that they're not violent or whatever. So Williams immediately freaks out, shouts, "Get back, get your dog, I'll kill this mother effer." Fires his gun in the air, which is already dangerous and reckless. She begins trying to gather the dogs, probably terrified that she'll be murdered any second. The Pomeranian escapes and runs towards Williams. He tries to shoot it, hits her. She shouts, "You shot me," begins writhing in pain, telling the deputies to get away from her. She's probably terrified that they'll finish her off, saying she's scared of them. And then, well, again, we can't show you the video, unfortunately, but you can see a little bit in these shots of the tiny little dog. So then Williams and the second deputy deny that he shot Height. At one point, he goes back to the patrol car after being asked to call an ambulance. He says, "I shot at the goddamn dog, and I think the dog scratched her. She said I shot her." The dog was apparently charging at him. And I know that he knows that because he was so terrified of the Pomeranian that he tried to murder it. How it would have scratched her, I don't know. And she says the bullet is still in her shin. So I feel like that's kind of proof of what happened. I feel like this is going to be adjudicated. But regardless, like, you show up, you're immediately terrified of the dogs. You don't think to maybe like wait outside of the fence so the dogs can be gathered up. You just immediately begin shooting in the air. And when the Pomeranian, and by the way, I know most people are familiar with Pomeranians, but in case you're not, they can weigh up to 7 pounds, mind you. They are amongst the tiniest, fluffiest, and yes, sometimes aggressive dogs, but they're not gonna tear your foot off at the ankle. It's a Pomeranian. You don't need to shoot it. Francesca, what do you think?
They're not the brightest bulbs in the box, all right? Cops, I'm just gonna say it. All right, that's the nicest thing you're gonna hear me say about cops. And how many instances do we need of them effing up like this right here? And like, let's be real. We need a different force to call when it comes to domestic disputes, because often they end with someone getting shot. Even if it is the so-called aggressor or abuser or alleged abuser, you don't necessarily want that person to be shot. So, and you definitely don't want your dog to be shot. You definitely don't want to be shot yourself. So when it comes to mental health crisis, when it comes crises, and when it comes to domestic disputes, there needs to be other unarmed or at least not trigger happy forces that can help us, or forces, gosh, I don't know, patrols, community servants, and those sadly are not the police.
This is just, look, they're gonna look into it. They're gonna, decide exactly what happened. They say that they've investigated it and he was cleared. Okay. I feel like if she's got a bullet in her leg, she's probably got a pretty strong case, but we'll see.
Yeah, civilly, but that just means that doesn't mean that anything will happen officially or criminally.
No investigation is warranted.
The officers are not familiar with the law.
Welcome back to the Lackluster Channel. In 2004,
we're in Mosul right now.
I was a medic for a mechanized infantry unit in Iraq.
That's somebody's dying.
During the 13 months I spent wondering why we were there, my platoon took many casualties.
He's not dead. No, he's gonna make it. He's not dead. Nope. Huh? No.
One of which was Manny Melendez Diaz. He survived the Battle of Fallujah in November of 2004. But in December, with only 2 months left in our deployment, an IED detonated next to the Humvee occupied by Manny. The up-armored vehicle was torn open and Manny suffered catastrophic injuries. Over the next few years, he fought for his life from a hospital bed, and throughout the past 19 years, he's had dozens of surgeries, removing most of his intestines and his right leg. And it's because of my experiences and relationship with Manny that this story is so important to me. It involves Dynell Lane, a man I've never met, but one who lives with a shared experience. During his deployments, Lane also suffered serious injuries that resulted in numerous operations on the lower parts of his body, leaving him with a disability that requires potential emergency use of a restroom. Texas and several other states have passed laws that allow people to use the restroom of an establishment if they can prove that they have a medical issue that has necessitated an immediate use of the facility. Mr. Lane was at Sirius Pizza in Dallas on June 10th of 2023 and notified the manager of his situation. It was almost 2 a.m. and the establishment was beginning to shut down for the night, but they officially close at 3. The manager refused to allow him to use the restroom, and 2 off-duty Dallas police officers stepped in to talk to Lane. The officers are hired by the restaurant to provide security and are allowed to represent the Dallas Police Department by wearing their uniforms while working. Lane tried to reason with the officers and showed them his American with Disabilities card, but the officers refused to look at it or his other medical documents. On the verge of an emergency, he called 911 to have an officer dispatched to look at the documents and to allow him inside to use the facilities, but the responding officers didn't arrive until nearly 3 a.m., and as a result, Lane suffered a urine and bowel leakage. So he left, calling 911 to tell them that the officers were no longer needed because of his accident. But the 2 officers arrived anyway after Lane was gone, and at least one of the officers activated his body cam as they entered.
Yeah, my fault. Can't waste a video recording. Let's do it. What do you guys call me when I want home? Somebody calling out one of their systems. You
guys made a guy pee himself?
I can't even.
Yeah.
And then he calls back and said it's okay, he doesn't need PPE anymore because he soiled.
The video ends there as the officer deactivates his body cam. Because the first 2 officers weren't serving in their capacity as officers, neither ever activated their cameras. After the incident, Lane filed a complaint with the department, but as usual, the Dallas police investigated themselves and found no wrongdoing. Actually, they found no reason to even conduct an investigation.
We are unable to establish a violation of the departmental policies. Or procedures. As a result, it's determined that no investigation is warranted.
After the video went viral, the Community Police Oversight Board questioned the internal affairs officers who found that their coworkers had done nothing wrong.
How can you condone the laughter and the comments?
Of course, the internal affairs officer dodges the question and responds in a way that shows that neither he or the officers he was investigating understand the law.
His complaint was that the officers that were there when he arrived did not let him use the restroom there at Sirius Pizza.
That's right. He tried to use it. The establishment was not honoring the ADA, which is a federal law. He had a card. I mean, regardless, I don't believe he has to even prove that he's, you know, I'm sure just by looking if he's got a fucking bag or some other device or has scars or whatever, or can prove, you know, like obvious, but you know, but he had a card, he went out of his way. They still were dicks. So the police that were there on duty representing Dallas police didn't have their body cameras on, told him they wasn't doing nothing. Then they laugh about it and joke with the other officers get there that he called to try to hopefully intervene because the other ones were being dicks. And you could tell when they finally showed up, if he had been there and didn't have an accident yet, they wouldn't have intervened. They would have said, fuck you.
The officers are not obligated, or they don't have any rules that say that an officer has to let a citizen use a private business, use their
No, but okay, that may be correct, but just on the basis alone, like, come on now, like, that's fucked up. The dude's a veteran. It has to do with the Americans with Disabilities Act. The Americans with Disabilities Act calls for and allows people that have disabilities not only be able to get preferred seating and stuff like that, assistance with it, or parking. Same with service animals, deaf people, you know, special menus, all that stuff. They're supposed to accommodate those things. And if they don't, then they could be turned in and violated and fined for not doing it. And it certainly isn't going to make their fucking business look good.
That is where he's wrong. A quick Google search shows that the Restroom Access Act requires businesses to allow customers.
They've even, so wherever this happened at, they've even got in the state, and some states, probably more than just that state, have their own little individual acts related to stuff like that.
With proof of a medical condition
The
to
ADA
use
is
the
just a federal one.
restroom. That includes their employee restrooms if public restrooms are not available. But the IA officer is so detached from it that he even refers to the Americans with Disabilities Act as the ADH.
Is it a violation of the law such that the Dallas Police Department or any other police department would have the ability to issue a citation or enforce that law?
No, we'll have to dig deeper into that and find out the specifics about the ADH federal law as it applies to
the ADA, asshole.
Using a private restroom.
Are you saying that the officers are not familiar with the law?
I don't know how familiar those officers were with that portion, so I will not be able to speak on behalf of them.
So you're saying that the officers refusing to read the card as when he presented it was following
procedure,
policy, procedures?
So again, that's something that I'll have to review when it comes to ADA and how that is applied.
They are servants of the citizens, and by refusing to cooperate, they're violating a policy. And there was no investigation.
The conduct of the officers and the comments regarding what happened to the complainant. Is that something that DPD would say is okay conduct?
We don't condone that conduct, but certainly it was outside the scope of Mr. Lane.
If you don't condone it, then they should be reprimanded.
Was not present, neither was anyone else present. It was
No, they wasn't present, but it's on body camera. Anyone can FOIA, and now it's all over YouTube and the media, and they clearly showed themselves to represent themselves poorly as fucking police officers.
Between officers there on scene.
So basically, if no one's around to witness the offense, it's okay. But even that answer is incorrect. In the video, at least 2 employees of Serious Pizza can be seen interacting.
There you go.
with the officers during the exchange. Not to mention, now I've heard it, and it's my duty to expose it, especially when the officers knowingly recorded their interaction. In the end, the IA personnel claimed that there was no violation without having an even basic understanding of the law that they were trying to determine whether the officers violated. They also claim that they had never seen this video, which leaves the question, what exactly were they investigating? The Dallas Police Department Code of Conduct states that an employee shouldn't ridicule, mock, taunt, or belittle any person, whether they're on duty or off duty. So regardless of the disability status of Mr. Lane, he's human. And to treat anyone this way makes these officers unfit for their job. Serious Pizza issued a statement claiming that they won't have those specific officers return to work there, but their own employees can be seen laughing about the situation as well. It's also possible that the Dallas Police has video from the female officer as they speak with the restaurant's manager and has yet to release it.
Councilman, good evening. My name is Donnell Lane, and I live here in Dallas, Texas, District 3 area. I'm here to hold Dallas Police Department and the specific local retail food chain Serious Pizza responsible for adhering to their oath to uphold policies, practices, and code compliance requirements of the federal, state, and city America Disability Act guidelines, also known as ADA. No one, including myself, should be denied access while attempting to give retail stores a federal or state identification card, legal medical professional documents, or diagnosed conditions to utilize their staff or public restrooms due to their disability. If a retail establishment chooses to ignore a person who is trying to present such documents, they should be held accountable, because this is why ADA is in place. While serving as a sergeant in the United States Army, I was deployed to Afghanistan, Kuwait, and Iraq, where I sustained lower extremity life-threatening injuries that led to me specific disabilities. Because of those wounds and injuries, I had to be medevac out of combat and into a Wounded Warrior Battalion unit for a year and a half, where I had to undergo surgeries regarding my lower extremities. My life has changed drastically, and has been a constant fight having to explain myself about my disability, just to get assistance from public servants and private businesses while I'm out and about. This battle leaves me in constant depression and suicidal at times because of the shame of asking strangers for help while I'm public and not having a normal life anymore. If police officers are hired to work for privately owned companies, I do not believe that means they only answer to the following company's instructions. Rather, I believe they should follow the policies and procedures that the police department has set forth for the protection, service, de-escalation.
Not just that, but the Constitution and laws of the U.S. too.
And assistance of citizens and citizens with disability. Change is needed if there is no such policy in place among Dallas businesses and Dallas police departments. June 10th, I have the issue, 2023. At Serious Pizza, with them refusing to grant me access to the toilets during regular business hours, despite my disability, and my polite plea for assistance from 2 uniformed Dallas police officers inside Serious Pizza. They failed me, and the Dallas Police Department failed me. 2 Dallas police officers discriminated against me and declined to assist me in bridging the gap between myself and Serious Pizza manager by not giving me courtesy of checking my ID and my supporting medical documents, nor did they try to de-escalate the matter that would allow me access to Serious Pizza restrooms during their regular business hours. I then had to call 911 to assist, but they were unable to show up and respond in time. As a result of this neglect, I had to endure urine and bowel leakage while inside the restaurant. As a United States Army retired sergeant, I had the higher expectations from the city. Please hear me when I ask all to make change so no one with a disability will endure what I had to endure. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Lane.
The Oversight Board has opened a new independent investigation, which should meet again in the coming weeks. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. What would you want to see happen if you were on that board? If you got something out of this video, be sure to check out this one, where officers tase and kick a deaf man that couldn't hear their commands.
Oh my God. Your discretion is advised, y'all. That's why we don't have to worry, Brownie.
Welcome back to the
You'll have papers and all that. You're good citizens and all that stuff. So, well, if we ever have to fucking run into some people like give this shit.
Lackluster channel. On May 25th of 2019, John Kelly and his wife had a disagreement and were communicating via sign language on the side of a road. Someone who saw
As you
John
get
and his
done with
wife
training.
signing to each other mistook their communication and called 911 to report a possible physical disturbance. Soon after, 3 officers of the San Marcos Police Department approached John from the sides and behind, yelling for him to stop, before 2 officers tased him
gotta
in
work
front of
out
his
today.
wife and several of their children. With his back to the officers and unable to hear the commands, John is kicked twice in the side by a 3rd officer.
Okay. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back, sir. All right, grab his hands. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Roll over. Grab his hand. Just get on your stomach. Turn around. Just have him stand up. I think it's pretty. Let me see your hands. 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 Let me see your hands. I think he's gonna fall. Come here. Hey. No, he's not being compliant. Look at me. Hey. Look at me. Sit.
John attempts to tell the officers that he is deaf, and eventually one figures it out and hands him a notepad and a pen.
Hold it. Give me your name.
John was never handcuffed and was not charged. After the officers confirmed that no physical assault took place, he was released from the scene after being treated by paramedics, after which he would later go to the hospital for treatment of injuries resulting from the incident. The 3 officers involved wrote in their incident narratives that Kelly had tucked his hands under his torso, but the footage shows John with his hands up by his head both times that he's on his stomach, which appears as though he is bracing himself for another kick to his ribs. John says he was trying to gesture to the police and show them with his hands that he wanted to write, to communicate. A federal lawsuit filed in May of 2021 accuses the city of San Marcos and the 3 officers of violating Kelly's civil rights in the Americans with Disabilities Act. The suit claims that, quote, no attempt was made by police to communicate with John in a manner in which he could understand, despite him signing that he was deaf. No extra steps or precautions were taken by SMPD before they deployed a taser and kicked John. This case is scheduled to go to trial in September of 2023. All 3 officers remain employed by SMPD and have all completed a 4-hour course on interacting with drivers who are deaf or hard of hearing. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Was this force necessary to take John?
No, it wasn't.
Joining me now is 2024 presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, sir. I want to start with what I began the program with, which is this racist shooter killing 3 Black people in Jacksonville yesterday. What is your reaction to the shooting?
It is such a tragedy, and my heart goes out to those families. This should not be happening in the United States of America, and it is wrong. The reality is we have a mental health epidemic in this country. There are reports that this particular individual, the perpetrator, was indeed evaluated for mental health deficiencies as well. And I think we need to have the courage in this country to bring back a practice of putting back psychiatrically ill people who pose a risk to their communities into psychiatric institutions, not just drugging them up, but faith-based approaches and other approaches that fill our longing for purpose and meaning in this country. I think it is just a shame that we even have mass shootings like this, be it the one that happened in Florida, be it the recent one, the Nashville shooter in a Christian school, killing 6 in a school. We have to address that mental health epidemic, and we need leaders with the courage to do it. But my heart goes out to those families, and I hope something like this never happens.
Well, we don't have things aren't set up in the medical field for that stuff though, the right way. They're set up to drug them.
Happens again.
So you're talking about creating a whole new system or something?
Mental health is one aspect of these shootings, and apparently, and we're still
Or are you
learning,
just saying that you want to bring back fucking asylums or something? Is that what you're saying?
lot about what happened. The facts are still coming out. Also, this was very much apparently racially motivated. The sheriff there said point blank that this shooter had manifestos.
Sounds like this guy is almost talking about predictive policing or something, which they're already trying to do in some places, and that's turned out to be fucking bad.
3 manifestos, and said specifically that he went to this dollar store with the intent of killing Black people.
I think that is
That's a
heinous
hate.
and deserves to be called out for what it is.
That's a hate crime.
The reality is we've created such a racialized culture in this country in the last several years that right as the last few burning embers of racism were burning out, we have a culture in this country largely created by media and establishment and universities and politicians that throw kerosene on that racism. And I can think of no better way to fuel racism in this country than to take something away from other people on the basis of their skin color. I've been saying that for years. And I think that is driving, sadly, a new wave of anti-Black and
Sir.
anti-Hispanic racism in this country. I think the right way
Sir,
forward is if we want to stop hate and discrimination on the basis of race, let's stop discriminating on the basis of race and see what unites us as Americans, because I do not think this kind of racial division and any division is good for us as the United States.
I believe that there are a lot of people of color in this country who don't think it was just lasting embers of racism, but that a lot more work had to be done, particularly given the history of the systemic racism in this country with slavery and beyond. I want to ask you about a comment that you made about white supremacy in Iowa on Friday.
I've never once encountered that yet. I'm sure the boogeyman white supremacist exists somewhere in America. I've just never met him. Never seen one. Never met one in my life, right? Maybe I'll meet a unicorn sooner. And maybe those exist too.
So just because somebody hasn't encountered one doesn't mean that the notion of white supremacy doesn't exist as a threat in America. What do you think goes through the minds of the families of the 3 victims in yesterday's shooting when they hear you say that white supremacy is basically a fantasy?
I don't fucking, you're trying to take what he said out of fucking context. Holy shit. What?
In Florida, on May 5, 2023, deputies were dispatched to conduct a welfare check on a woman who hadn't been seen for several days.
Did it smell when you went to the door?
Yeah, there's a door on the opposite side. Did you see somebody? The other side reeks bad.
Do. Sheriff's office.
Somebody in there?
No.
Yeah, I'll bring him back. The other door smells like a 7. This place is a disaster. You smell it?
He said it smells like a 7. Does that mean body?
No, I do.
I know it's come out just ask the neighbors, I guess, do they see anybody? Is that Reese right there, right?
A little bit.
Yeah, I saw him. Let's go to the neighbor, one next to us over here, see if they've seen anybody over here in a minute.
How you doing? Hey, doing good. How are you? All right, brother. Have you seen Lainey recently?
The girl?
Yeah, next door neighbor.
Just the guys over there.
When's the last time you seen them?
Him, he usually walks up and down the road, but her, I haven't seen her in a while.
How long would a while be? Days, months?
Day or two. Couple days.
Three?
Yeah.
3 days or something like that? When's the last time you seen the boys?
Yesterday.
Okay, so nobody today.
Mm-mm.
Have you heard any fighting, anything in the last 2 days? Any
When's the
loud
last time you
commotion?
seen her? I know it's would be not abnormal for you to hear yelling and screaming coming from over there. So.
No.
Nothing.
So we're kind of new to the neighborhood too. So
Yeah, okay.
There's been a lot different things going on here, so it's weird. We're not used to it.
No, more quiet.
Yeah.
I used to live right down there behind the Circle K in Cleveland, Dalewood.
Oh, yeah.
Nice, man. That's so cool back there. You don't worry about nothing. You know what I mean? It's nice and quiet. I know all the neighbors held 50 years, boy. They come up here and all kind. This is just way different for me, but I'm doing good.
All right, that's all that matters. That you guys are doing good.
Yeah. So if we hear and see anything,
Just call the number right there. That's the non-emergency number. If you see Lainey or any.
Yeah,
of the
her
boys.
sister's looking for her and she's not able to get a hold of her, so that's why we're out trying to make contact with her.
Yeah.
He's probably like in his 30s, I'd say.
30s?
Yeah, probably like early mid 30s, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's only been there for like a few weeks because the tent wasn't there, and the tent showed up and then he was around. So
Right. Any commotions or anything in the last couple of days or
no
before
like
then?
yelling or fighting or anything like that.
Nothing.
We hear pretty quiet for the most part, but
Okay.
the most I see out of the dude is just like sometimes he walks up and down the road. Today he was riding a bike, so
Do you know what color bike it was?
I didn't pay attention.
Okay. Was it just a bike or a
Yeah, like
tricycle?
just like a full size like cycle bike almost.
Okay. Alrighty.
She had her husband or her husband says. But I can smell that smell.
You got close to the. The AC is working. That could push through.
Yeah, we're not push this thing out of it. It ain't supposed to be pushed. I mean, I can make an open door. There's a door on each side of the house, and everything is just like propped up with something. Everything's like ready to fall down.
Missouri.
What do you see, Jose?
Nothing. The kitchen's over there. So, but I can't.
Yeah, we already back on everything. How far and get the proper information for Lanny, it's going to be an ACES, and just run it real quick.
Okay.
Then have the central check her out in all of the hospitals and see if she's there.
After checking the hospitals, deputies returned to the house to continue looking.
Oh, did you hear us knocking before? Were you knocked out?
Yeah, I was sleeping there.
I'm glad you woke up because you're about to come inside. We're looking for Mom. Have you seen her?
She's not around right now.
You know where she's at? His sister's asking for her. She's not in any trouble or anything like that.
When was the last time you saw her?
A few days ago.
Where'd she go?
She just went to the store. Said she'd be back in a little while.
Is it normal for Mom to be gone for days at a time?
I'm not.
Where does she go? Does she have a favorite place where she likes to go when she's not home? Did she tell you anything that normal when she last time you saw her?
No.
What happened last time? You guys were there?
Some cigarettes and a little bit of food. Sometimes my hands told me I could come stay back here.
You haven't seen Mom. So. When's the last time you called? Anything like that?
When was the last time you saw Dad?
Where he's staying at?
No, I heard that she might have called the cops on him.
Yeah, he got arrested the 25th of last month for trespassing.
Do you know who stays in the tent?
Well, that's what I was thinking before she come in and come in the house.
Oh, she told you you could come before she left?
Would it be alright if they just went inside to make sure she's not in there?
Uh-oh.
Huh?
I can't tell you that.
Okay.
That's a good point. You can't tell
You
them
stay
no.
here and it's your mom's house?
And we're looking for Mom. So
Well,
we just make sure Mom's
technically he has domain. That's a good, interesting legal question. Can somebody deny? I mean, obviously he couldn't if they got a warrant or anything, which I would imagine while they were gone, that's what they would have went to go do because they're thinking that they smell somebody dead in there. That's almost, you'd almost argue that could be like an exigent circumstance. So in other words, they could be able to warrant a search without a warrant.
stowed away in a closet or something. Dad didn't come back and retaliate for getting arrested or something like that. So, Because you're not gonna tell me yes or no. Then we're just gonna peek our head in there real quick, and then we'll come back outside. You can lead the way if you're so pleased.
I gotta lock the door.
You could go in, but you could go in. Just lead us.
Yeah, they don't want him to go out. They don't want him to stay outside.
Why would you lock the door behind you?
Ah, you little motherfucker.
I just usually do that.
So how do you get in?
Oh, that ain't gonna fly, buddy.
How about this other little door that's over here?
It's just barricaded up.
Why would it be barricaded?
Garbage can and some stuff.
So how do you get in the house?
Are you planning on having a
I feel like you're
fucking
fucking with me.
seed?
What's the deal?
Yeah, you're fucking with
You
him.
understand how this looks, right?
That's right.
So how do you get in the house since you locked the door?
Well, that's dumb. When they say, "Do you understand how this looks?" Not to help anyone, but I mean, obviously, if you say yes, then I mean, it's almost just basically like implicating yourself. So he was dumb for doing that.
Are you not supposed to be in the house? Is that why?
Well, he's dumb. Period.
All right, that's fine. We're not worried about that. We just want to make sure.
Like, I mean, he should have came out to begin with. Like, he was smart enough. Like, unless he was really fucking sacked out, which he may be. He might be using something, so he might have been sacked out. But if he was awake earlier and he purposefully avoided them, why would you still not do the same thing? Because at this point, they're already going to think that's suspicious because they knocked hella hard on that fucking place and stayed there for a second.
Mom.
That's it.
If you know you're not supposed to be here, that's on whatever. We can deal with that at a later point in time. I really
That's
don't care
the alternate question technique.
about that. Yeah. My main goal is making sure mom's okay, find mom, and do that. That's what we're here for. We're not here for you because you were sleeping in the bed or whatever. Okay. So obviously you went in and unlocked it from the inside. Did you get in? Did you just push that one thing open to get in? Or the other door?
You mind doing that for us right now? I think if you shimmy it into the right, we could be able to pull it out.
So he's one of theirs.
So push it into the right. Keep pushing it in. Now try to move it out, and then push it out. There you go. There we go.
He stayed outside.
So are you sure mom's not in there?
I don't know. I just stayed in my room, stayed in my living room.
We're already in, so we're gonna find out. So
I understand, right?
So you're gonna tell me you didn't know mom was in there?
No,
Jennifer, and now they got a whole big issue. Call 400 and have them come out here.
430.
Piece of shit.
400.
Have a seat. $417, $400. I'm gonna need you to come out here. This is one of the big issue.
just gonna read you Miranda so you know your rights before anything happens, okay? All right. So you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used you in court. Do you understand that so far? All right. So you have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before we ask you any questions and have him or her present during questioning. If you can't afford one will be appointed for you before any questioning if you wish. Do you understand that so far? All right. So if you decide to answer any questions without a lawyer present, you still have the right to stop answering at any time. You also have the right to stop answering at any time until you talk to a lawyer. Do you understand that? So after being read these rights, you still wish to talk to us?
So we're not going to ask any questions at this point in time, but
Just in case.
someone has come through.
Yeah.
It's a little lazy police work. They could have, because it almost seemed like he would have confessed. I mean, they should have at least tried.
Do you swear to affirm that the statement you're about to give is the whole truth but nothing but the truth?
When we first
There we go.
got here and talked to you, you said you hadn't seen mom in how long?
A few days.
A few days. When is that the actual answer, or what is the answer you want to swear to? The last time you saw mom?
We were talking around the house here. I mean, I seen her riding a bike, and she gave me a few cigarettes and stuff and told me to stop back by the house later. And I came and stopped back by the house later, and we were talking and cleaning up the yard and cleaning up the house and everything. She told me I had to stay inside, and that was a few days ago.
You said that wasn't the truth, that you weren't supposed to be staying inside.
No.
Yes, when we talked to you,
Change your
I said you're
story.
not supposed to be here. That's so.
No contact order,
Okay.
I believe.
Do
Oh,
you know if it's still active or no?
No, sir.
Okay.
I imagine it might. I don't know for sure.
oh, so now you don't know if it is.
Stay with her, and I don't know.
Okay. What is there no contact order between you and mom for?
You got into the dispute. She said I slapped her, I punched her.
So battery?
Yes, sir.
Ah, now she's laying in the house, presumably dead.
Okay. Domestic stuff.
Yes, sir.
When's the last time you seen dad?
This last week, I believe.
Okay. How did your conversation with dad go the last time you saw him?
Bad.
Mad?
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad.
How about between mom and dad? Did they talk?
The only thing
I'm sure he's not going to be happy now.
At that point in time, when she got home, she told me and him both to leave, so I left him and walking somewhere and stay away.
Do you know where dad is at currently?
You know if dad has a job?
No, sir.
And you haven't talked to dad since
That night, yes, sir.
that night? Okay. When I guess he got arrested
That's what I heard.
and you left, so you didn't get arrested.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then your and mom's relationship has been good as of late.
Yeah.
Did you notice anything different while you've been staying here?
Well, I mean, the
Yeah, I'm tired of looking at that piece of shit. All right, so let's check out. We're gonna be doing some more walking stuff and some other things. Can't wait for today. I'm excited. I think Brownie is too. So we've already been doing this right here. If this is what I think she's gonna do.
Hey guys, it's Rachel with Bee Hill Dog Training, and I've got Maggie here. Maggie was just dropped off for a 2-week board and train. She got here like 10 minutes ago, so super fresh, and I'm just going to walk her around a bit and kind of show you what we're starting with. One of the biggest reasons she's here is for her leash manners, and you're about to see why. So you can kind of see what we're dealing with. There we go. So, very, very strong dog. Maggie, come here. I mean,
And we'll probably end up doing a board and train with Brownie too, maybe near towards like the end part, so that way he'll have 2 weeks where he can, because he does the same thing. He also does board and train. Actually, I think it's 15 days instead of, so it's basically 2 weeks on a day. So, which would help solidify everything. And then he'd be at the point to where he could take his good citizenship exam and get that done, and then could be certified as a PSD. So, which there's not really a national certification thing, but or anything like that, or a registry, but he'll when you get a dog professionally trained or something, I think, well, I didn't really ask him too much about it, but he said that he would have completion paperwork and stuff, basically. So in addition to the good citizenship and all that, which is what a dog has to have to be able, it basically proves that they can be around anybody in the public and they're not going to be aggressive and they're not going to fucking mark up territory or anything like that.
Definitely don't want to allow this to continue, right? She's putting so much pressure on her neck. And I mean, think about all the damage that's going to cause long term if she walks like that all the time on leash, right? So
It's another reason why it's good to use a fucking a harness. I mean, there's like obviously you got to use the leash, right? But you can use a harness, and so but you still want to train your dog, even if you're not having a service dog or whatever. You still want to train a dog to do this basic stuff, just so that they're not pulling on that all the time. So then, if you want to walk them on just a collar, you can, but I would still recommend walking them with a harness. They can still have a collar on, but it's just easier, I think, and found it's better to walk with a harness. There is also, I remember back when we worked at dog daycare, one way we would do it if we had to walk dogs that had to go out alone or something, if they were like the type that kept wanting to run away or go off real fast, we would put the you would either use a harness or it would just be a regular leash, but it would be an extra longer leash, so you could wrap it up underneath the back behind the front legs, but around the back and across, and you pull up. So that way, if they try to run too fast, it'll catch their it'll get them at the hind of the legs, and they'll have to they won't be able to do it. That's kind of more like, I guess you would call like I don't know what you would call that, but I mean the boss that was the person that showed me to do it, she trained show dogs and stuff in AKC. So I guess she just done that to dogs that didn't have basic training and stuff like that, because we would have a lot of mostly rich clients that would, come, pretty wealthy people that would come and drop their dogs off. Some of them would be trained, some of them would have horrible manners and stuff.
here she is. We're gonna get her in a.
Some of them would fight.
Off the bat, just going to do kind of a little intro to prong collars video to show you the process of introducing a dog to the prong collar for the first time and how to start teaching heeling. So to my knowledge, she's never been on a prong collar before. And so that's why we're going to do this introduction to the prong collar. This is not something that you have to do every time you put a prong collar on a dog. But if it's the dog's first time or the first time in a while, or you're not sure if they've ever been on a prong collar, you want to do a little bit of this pressure and release game to teach them how to yield to the pressure and to teach them how the prong collar works. Now, a lot of dogs, you put them on a prong collar and they may resist, they may object. A lot of that is because the collar is a different sensation than what they're used to. if you do have a dog that acts a bit fearful, don't worry that you're hurting the dog. You're not hurting the dog. If you're doing everything appropriately, the dog just may be nervous in new situations, and a lot of those dogs acted that same way the first time any kind of leash and collar.
Brownie hadn't been like that, which I'm good. Like he already had this done, you know, with the introduction.
Put on. You just want to guide them through the process. So I've not done this with her yet. All I've done is size the collar. I've not done it. Get my leash on her here. When I feel pressure, if I give to that pressure, it goes away. That's how it works. That's how the sensation is. So
Yeah, you don't really have to pull on it.
she's a big puller too. A lot of times when you have a dog that pulls really strong like she does, you may put your prong collar and leash on and they may try to go, and that could startle them. Don't let any of that worry you if it happens. You just want to stay really calm and nonchalant. Hey, you know, let's go. We're just doing some work together. So I'm going to do this little bit of pressure. Yes, good job. And as soon as she turns towards me, you'll notice I'm doing a lot of kind of guiding her away from me and then leading her back towards me with that leash pressure. So I'm going to put a little bit of steady pressure. Good, until she gives. You can see it's a really gentle process. I'm not having to put a whole lot of pressure on this. Again, I want to use as little as I need, but also as much as I need. Good job, yes. Good job. There you go. A little bit of pressure and give. Good. So you just do this for a few minutes. Again, this is only going to be the first time you use the prong collar. You don't have to do this every single time you put your prong collar on your dog. It's just a level. So I'm giving her information through my leash, but it's a pressure and release in a quick amount of time. It's not going to be a whole lot of pressure and release to get her used to what it feels like. But now what I want on your dog, it's just to introduce them and get them used to everything. So now what I'm going to do is start working on teaching her the heel position. With the heel position, I want the dog to be walking either at or slightly behind my leg. And the way I'm going to do this is whenever she's in the proper position that I want her in, there's going to be no pressure on the collar whatsoever. But anytime she steps outside of that little bubble that I'm envisioning, I'm going to give her leash guidance and get her back in the correct position. Now, since she's just learning this, everything is just going to be at an informational level. So I'm giving her information through my leash, but at this point, it's not a punishment, it's not a correction, it's me just telling her, no, that's not where I want you, this is where I want you. So I don't want to do this by pulling. Now, with introducing the prong collar, I did do steady pressure and release to get her used to what it feels like. But now what I want to start doing is using more of a popping motion. And I say a pop, and that doesn't mean it's going to be a really firm pop on your leash, but you do want to use a pressure and release in a quick amount of time. It's not going to be a whole lot of pressure. And again, it could depend on the dog. If you've got a dog that's really checked out and all over the place, you may have to start off with a bit of a firm pop to get them to check in with you. But most of what I'm going to be doing is really just kind of flicking my wrist. And when you're first teaching your dog the heel position, expect to have to do that a lot because the dog is going to learn through that repetition. So the way this looks like right now is very different. Sorry, I think my chicken just laid an egg because she's over there making a bunch of noise. But the way this looks now today is very different than it's going to look even just 24 or 48 hours from now. So, oh, she's joining the flock after she laid an egg. Good job, Maggie. We have Maggie and Maggie. All right. Sorry, chickens are a little distracting. She's around chickens a lot, so this isn't a big distraction for her, which is good. Ideally, if you don't want to start a dog in an area with something that's distracting, but she's pretty used to the birds. So, anyway, I digress. Let's go. Again, what I'm going to do is you'll see a lot of flicking from my wrist as I'm giving her that information to walk beside me. And again, with how strong of a puller she is, I may have to use a stronger kind of almost at a corrective level at first so that she's not pulling and tugging against that leash. That's exactly what we're trying to stop. But you'll see here, for the most part, it's really very little pressure at all. And none of this is painful to the dog. This is not about hurting the dog. This collar is actually designed not to hurt the dog. And with how much she was just choking out on her leash, this is a much, much safer option for her. So don't be afraid if you do have to give a firmer pop. You're not going to injure the dog with your prong collar. Let's go. So you'll see him having to give lots of guidance. Now, I also
See, Brownie was doing a lot better than that right on his first time.
don't want to allow the dog to sniff the ground, so that's important. And it's also important to note if your dog is getting ahead of you and you're giving that pop with your leash, that flick with your wrist, make sure that it's a backwards motion and not an upward.
He was doing a lot better than him, Brownie.
Upwards leash pressure is when I'm cueing the dog to sit, or if they're sniffing the ground and I'm trying to lift their head up off the ground. But if the dog's getting ahead of you or off to the side, you don't want to pop up. You want to pop directionally more parallel to their body. So I want to keep her right now. I'm working.
Check out some more of this. I may see. I wonder, do I got an audience or probably not? Probably not. I don't want to play these videos right now. I got to save them for later. We got 6 people in here. Is anybody worth a damn? I may drop the link if it is. I'm about to get off here soon, have lunch, and then get ready for training. Oh, we may end up doing board and train center. I don't know. I'm about to double check and see how much it was again. Okay, so basic advanced obedience, trick dogs, scent detection, narcotics, service dog, therapy dog, agility sport dog, AKC CGC evaluator, precision AKC precision obedience, IPO Schutzhund, tracking, retrieval, daycare as well. Canine good citizen, AKC, good community canine, e-collar authorized dealer, although I did not get my e-collar from him. He sells a dog too. Australian Shepherd. Service and therapy dog training. Owner trained therapy and assistance canines are an exciting alternative to institutional trained dogs and long waiting list. I agree. I didn't know they had more than, well, I knew they had like 2 guys. I didn't know they had another person too. They have a woman too. So my trainer graduated in 2014. Professional dog trainer school. Works with AKC obedience and specializes in service dog training. What do you know? So what I wanted to know was what the price was for the board and train, because we are going to have to utilize that, I know, at least once. Okay. So that works out to about, oh shit, I did not mean to click on that fucking theme, that fucking overlay. That's something Bird made. So that works out to about around, close to about 40 bucks per day. Yeah. Brownie, you're gonna be expensive, bull. Come here, buddy. Come on. Sleepyhead. Come on. There you go. You put your collar on you. Did you get some rest? Did you get some rest, Bubba? I know you're gonna make me yawn. Let's get this fitted on you, right? Get it situated. Don't want it too far up and you don't want it too far down either. Don't want it to hurt your throat. There you go, buddy. Technically, it's designed not to hurt you, but still you don't want it positioned wrong. There you go, buddy. Come on out. I'm gonna close your crate up. You don't need to be in the crate anymore. Here. You want this? You want this? Okay. Who's in here? Let's see. Yeah, we do every day. We always do a little bit of something every day. That's what's important. But, you know, we just started, so obviously we didn't, the first day there was a lot of introduction stuff, so the first training session we didn't go over a lot, so we just been doing basic stuff here lately. But I imagine after today, I'm gonna have to start picking up on it more. Gonna have to start doing a lot more every day, like making sure I take the time to spend at least 30, 40 minutes every day with him myself. I kind of like have been training him more like on the go. And that's the reason why I stopped doing the at home training, so I can kind of get it more consistent with you know. That's another reason why you know, and my other trainer, they were real nice. They gave me my my money back because it auto renewed the last week, but we didn't use it, so they gave me that money back. So that's gonna help pay for today's training lesson. That money they put back on my card, and so yeah, because you know I'm not gonna be, since I'm not taking the nerve medicine anymore. I'm not taking 2 antidepressants every day, but I'm only just taking 1. That's what I got. I got started back on instead of the 2 that I was taking every day, and I'm going to, you know, I want him to be able to work with me and be able to respond and, you know, be obedient and everything. That way he can be my stress reliever. That way I can eventually quit smoking too altogether. Which I haven't really been smoking as much because I'm gonna have to spend money. Like I'm gonna have to spend on just one board and train. It's gonna be a couple $100 for just one of them. So, and if I have to do it once at the most, maybe twice, which is at the most, then I'm gonna be investing about a total of probably about $1,000 into his training. $1,000 more. That's not including what I've paid for over the past year that he's been getting at home from me and from the trainer on screen telling me what to do. And he did get a certificate for the basic obedience class. So he's had his basic obedience. He is trained in that, but he's got to get his advanced stuff and he's got to get all his full service dog training. He's got a little bit with the knowing how to do the DBT, but he still needs, like, you know, he is starting to check in though. Like now when we're doing the heel training and stuff, we got him trained to start, and he's been checking in. And so every now and then, if he keeps checking in a couple times over and over, then I reward him with a treat or something, while also using the Springer collar while doing heel, doing walks. So yeah, it's been exciting. Like I've been excited to see what all, because I know he can do all of whatever that we're gonna end up. I know he can do a lot more than he's showing off already because he's a smart dog. He's a good dog too. No, I didn't know you were live. Come on, Bird. Aw, Bird. She's going to the backup channel. Oh, nah, bro. Man, I ain't been a subscriber that long, Bird. You turned on subscribers mode. The fuck do you want, Scooter Beggins? Springer collar. I ain't got nothing to talk to you about, Scooter.